Yeah. Welcome back to the first 2024 NFL New York Giants Big Blue Crew Sports Network heated debate. Now, tonight we got a special show for you guys. We got three of the heavyweight contenders of the Big Blue Crew Sports Network having a live heated debate. Having a heated debate about the whole state of the franchise, the possible draft pick, the possible coaching hire, and so much more. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the three guys that will be debating. I will be moderating this evening, and we will get right into it. First, we have Big Pat Sports Talk of Big Pat Sports Talk, as you know, another member of the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. We have Miz in the midday, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the sports fanatics known to many New York Giants content creators. And then we have Unpopular Opinion Sports, the highly opinionated and unpopular, vocally opinionated content creator for the New York Giants, also a member of the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. And then you have myself, Big Blue, who will be moderating this debate this evening. And without any further ado, man, we got a great show for you guys. We got a lot of topics that we need to touch on that fans are wondering about, fans are arguing about, tweeting about, and just overall confused about. So let's get right into it, man. Y'all know what it is.
Welcome to the Big Blue Crew Sports Network.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen. All right, is everybody ready for a nice, clean debate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
All right. Just one
You've
rule.
all gone over all the rules in the dressing room with you guys. Keep the gloves up. Ain't no biting, no elbowing. No,
No elbow.
all right, so the first topic that we're going to touch is what? What do you guys want to get into first?
All right. First and foremost, we're going to let Miz choose his opponent for the first subject. So, Miz, who do you want to battle first? Is it me or NYG? And the person you do not pick, what you will do is you will cut your camera off, and you don't have to cut your mic off. But if you do want to chime in, just be respectfully if you want to chime in, so this debate can go as professional as we need it to go. So, Miz, choose your first opponent.
You can have a round, like, after for the other person to chime in.
So, Miz, choose your first opponent. Is it me or is it NYG?
I don't care. Give me NYG, but what's the topic?
All right. So Lou's gonna come up with the topic, and you're gonna battle NYG first. I will cut my camera off, and you guys will debate. Let's go.
All right.
All right, so in the Twitter chat today, there was a lot of discussion about Dable and should he be fired? Should he be allowed to get his quarterback? So I think that's where we'll start first. Are both of you guys in the mindset that Dable should leave?
Go ahead.
I am. Yeah.
Miz, do you think Dable should be fired as well?
50-50 on that right at this second, to be really fair and honest.
All right, so how about Joe Shane?
Yeah, I'm kind of getting there with Joe Shane also. I have my reasons now why. But if Joe Shane is going, then they're both going. That's just how I see it.
So
I think you guys are in agreement on that then.
Yeah, my problem this morning, like I was coming at it, is more with Joe Shane, and I have a major problem with several of the players he's allowed to walk out of this organization without getting anything back at all. That's a major problem with me. I'm very heated inside about it. So,
okay, we'll start there then.
yeah, here's my problem with Joe Shane. You let Barkley. We all know the big one is Barkley. Okay, you let Barkley walk out of here, go to your division enemy. Okay, and watch him have an MVP level of football season while we suck ass with 2 wins. Okay, right down the turnpike to the enemy. I gotta sit and watch their fans chant "Thank you, Giants" on national TV so the whole country can fucking laugh at us. Okay, all right, that's number one. You let McKinney go. I understand you weren't gonna pay him $90 million. You let him walk out the building. You didn't try to trade him when you could have. Whatever, man. It might be Mara's fault too, but you know what? It's on the GM. You're the one who makes these calls. You should have tried to get something for him. You let Julian Love leave 3 years ago. He's playing good football in Seattle, a real solid player. You got nothing for him, okay? And now you're gonna watch. Now you're gonna watch Slayton and Aziz walk away at the end of this year. And guess what you're gonna get for him? Absolutely nothing. At least he's consistent, Joe Shane. This is the epitome of disgusting, terrible business, man. It's hard. It's ass, bro. And we'll continue to be a 2 to 3 or 4 win team, but we'll watch our players go be stars in other places, bro.
Okay. So you said Saquon Barkley and McKinney specifically, which you would have had to pay those guys probably a combined McKinney got like 10 million, I think, or 12 million. So say 24 to 30 million. You would have had to pay those guys.
Right.
But instead, what Joe Shane did, your general manager, because remember, everybody complained about the cap with Dave Gettleman, you know. So this guy's making smart cap moves. What he did instead was went out there and drafted Tyrone Tracy, who's leading rookies in yards right now, and Tyler Nubin, another top player. Oh, and Julian Love, you know who his replacement is? Jason Pinnock, a pretty damn good safety himself. So again, you can't, first of all, you can't pay everybody. Second of all, you're paying players that you did not draft. And then third of all, you're still getting production from the players you got on your roster. Now, Saquon Barkley would have made us what right now? What do we have? 3 wins instead of 2?
2.
Or do we have 1? Or do we have 2? It's so the point being is there's no reason to be upset at the GM because these players walk, other than the fact that you're emotionally upset because people are talking shit to you and you got to hear about it in the media. That's all that is. It's not Joe Shane's fault. Joe Shane made the right move there. For real, for real.
Okay. All right. So now let's add a caveat to that. Because Miz says he is getting to the point where he wants to see Joe Shane gone. You say that he's making smart cap decisions and that he's really done nothing wrong. But you both agree that Dable should be out of here. So would that be something that's on Shane? He obviously hired Shane from his time in Buffalo with Dable and his familiarity there. So was bringing Dable here a nepotism hire, and was it a bad move? Well, we know it was a nepotism hire. You don't even have to answer that. We know it was a nepotism hire. But was it a good move, and is it time to walk away from him now?
Listen, man. Listen, it's a team. They came together. They're an item from Buffalo. If you're not happy with one, then you're cleaning the whole thing out. That's just the way it goes. You can't keep going half-ass, brothers. You cannot keep the regime, let them draft the quarterback, and then next year, if they don't do good, fire the regime. Now you bring in a new GM, and now you're doing the same thing you did with Jones. You're forcing a quarterback that he didn't get to choose on him. Can't keep doing that shit. It doesn't work. It's a bad cycle. If you're gonna start over, clean house, start over, go pick your GM. A matter of fact, I would say promote Graham, right? Promote him up to GM. Let him go get a head coach and let them choose their quarterback. And let's start a new regime together. I think that's the right way to do. That's the stable thing to do.
Well, I think Joe Shane should keep his job, to be honest with you, because look at where this team was roster-wise and look at where they are now from Dave Gettleman. And you got people out there talking about the Giants are a quarterback away from contending. So if they're a quarterback away from contending, the roster must not be that damn bad, right? So again, is that on the GM or is that on the coach that needs this superstar quarterback to make his offense work? You know, Joe Shane has made smart trades. Brian Burns getting shit for Leo Williams. He's made smart draft picks. I just named them. Tyrone Tracy, Tyler Newman. We can go to some other ones. And he's also got this team ready to compete if they got the right head coach. You see what I'm saying? But the problem with people is this fan base wants everything perfect. As bad as it is, we still want perfection somehow. Somehow we want it right now. We want perfection. So how is it that it's this man's fault? You know, just because he made a couple of mistakes, as if he wasn't going to make no mistakes at all. Going to be flawless victory type shit. Come on, man. Come on, bro. You can't blame the GM. Now, if you want to get rid of both of them, get rid of both of them. That's on John Mara. But if you telling me Joe Shane has not done a good job, I think you're wrong.
Yeah, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, listen, I like Joe Shane.
If you're gonna get rid of one, you got to get rid of both.
I want to play. I don't want to play that game again, bro. I don't want to. Listen, you guys.
I understand both points,
but why get rid of a man that doesn't deserve to be fired? Why are you gonna fire a motherfucker just to be fired? Let me tell you a story. Funny story, and it's a true story. I swear to God. I worked at a pizza joint with my cousin. Right, my cousin was late all the fucking time. Right, I came on time. Right, they fired. Yeah, I got a little time. It's a quick story. They fired my cousin and then fired me too. And I was like, why did you fire me? They ain't had no excuse. They was like, well, we can fire you. We don't have to give you a reason. They fired me because I was associated with my cousin. Now, should I have been fired? Should I have been fired? No, I shouldn't have been. And neither should Joe Shane. I rest my argument. Let's go.
You fired. Day, this your cousin?
For this shit.
You fired. Don't you fired too?
Go ahead, NYG, finish. Go ahead.
I'm done, bro.
All right. Listen, man. I'm not saying fire Joe Shane right now today. I actually like Joe Shane. I like the picks he's made. I don't like letting big players go when we know we could have got things for them. Now, there's a debate within that. Is it Joe Shane or is Joe Shane just doing what his boss telling him to do? Because we all know that Mara don't like to trade players at the deadline. Why? Because he is worried about who's going to be in the seats in December in the stadium. That's what he cares about. So, there's a debate within a debate. But I get it, bro. I get both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one that like to fire people. I usually like stability. You guys know that. I'm old school. I say, stay together 5, 6, 7 years. Let's see this through, Maybe that's the right way to go, man. I really don't. A lot of people are coming down on Dable, bro, and I feel like
people may have been more inclined to agree with you had we have not been losing for so long. Had this been the beginning of our losing, people might have been like, give him a shot, give him time to turn it around. We've been losing for 12 years. people's patience are thin. We already New Yorkers as it is. We got very little fucking patience as it is. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm guilty.
yeah, you add 12 years of misery on top of the no patience. People are ready to fucking lose their marbles over here. So it comes with the territory. That position takes all the blame. The coach, the quarterback, the GM, those positions right there. Everything starts from there. The GM, the coach, the quarterback.
That's a
I mean,
fact.
no,
So
just before Pat
hold
jumps in, I know Pat's about to go in, and we'll get to this after Pat speaks. But with the head coach, just briefly, there is things to consider because it happens to be a year where there's some big name coaches hanging out there. I'm just throwing that out there. But go ahead, Pat.
So first and foremost, before I start my little speech and everything, I love my brothers on this panel. So whatever I say, don't take this to heart. It's not an attack at you personally. But first and foremost, I'm sick of the emotional bullshit with this fan base. Everybody's emotional about motherfuckers that are not here anymore. Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love. What about the motherfucking people Joe Shane kept here and Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence? What about those people that got paid? What about those people? All the decisions that Joe Shane has made, you can only bring up the bad situations that has happened. And to be honest with you, we weren't winning shit with those people. How many playoff appearances did we go to with Saquon Barkley here in 6 years? Can somebody answer that question for me in the chat or on the panel? One. So all the motherfucking jumping over people backwards and all that bullshit. We only made the playoffs one time, and guess what? As much as Saquon Barkley had to deal with that playoff season, Daniel Jones did too. Daniel Jones actually had more running first downs than Saquon Barkley and had almost as many rushing yards as Saquon Barkley down the stretch of that season. Also had 5 regular season comeback wins and 1 playoff comeback win that year. But nobody would have given him credit that year. So you're going to bash a GM that has brought you Malik Neighbors, that has brought you Tyrone Tracy, brought you Tyler Nubin, brought you Drew Phillips, brought you Brian Burns.
John Michael Smith.
Yeah, brought you John Michael Smith. Brought you Wan'Dale Robinson. Made a decision to keep Slayton.
Elijah Chapman,
a whole bunch of people. Brought you Bobby Okereke. Brought you Pinnock.
Brian Burns.
You know what I'm saying? Making good trades. There's not one trade that Joe Shane has done where we look like we were on the bad side of the trade. Got you a 3rd round pick for Kadarius Toney, the clown that you said it was, right? The clown.
Miz was right about that too. Got to give him his flowers on that.
Yeah,
From day
right
one, he said Kadarius Toney was the clown.
But he was right about Kadarius Toney being a clown. We got a 3rd round pick for him. Got rid of Kenny Galladay. Got a 2nd round pick for Leo Williams, a 30-year-old defensive tackle. What about the good things that he's done? What about the drafting Tyrone? This fan base is so emotional, want to keep so much bullshit going that you don't even recognize the players that he's brought in here. What about Tyrone Tracy, who's leading all running backs in yards? That didn't get his first start until week 4, week 5 against the Seahawks? It's been balling ever since. But you so worried about motherfuckers that ain't here no more that you don't even bring up the people that do deserve the credit. That kid has been playing his heart out, but does he get any credit? No, because you worried about motherfuckers that ain't here no more.
Was Ojulari his first draft? That was his first draft, right? When we got Ojulari
was Dave Gettleman's last draft.
His last draft? Yeah. That was Gettleman's last draft. Okay.
But you want to complain about people that aren't here. Oh, Azeez Ojulari. Now Azeez Ojulari is Lawrence Taylor? I remember when people saying Azeez Ojulari was just a crapshoot. Just a few months ago.
Yo, facts.
All the shit that you say about Slayton, now you worried about him leaving for nothing? You said he was nothing. You didn't even want him on the team. You wanted Alex Bachman ahead of him. So now all of a sudden, just because he might leave in free agency, now all of a sudden Joe Shane's an idiot. Why? Why is he an idiot for letting somebody go that you never wanted here? Explain that to me.
Who said that?
No, this is what people are acting like.
Oh,
They act like if we lose Darius Slayton, it's such a huge deal. But this is a guy that you wanted freaking David Seals to start in front of him.
No, but Pat, brother, if you know you're not bringing Slayton back next year, shouldn't have you just got a 5th or a 6th round pick for him? Let's say a 6.
Who's to say somebody wanted to trade for him? Where's your sources? Where's your sources to say that somebody was willing to give you a 4th or a 5th round pick for Slayton? Where's your sources?
There were teams that were interested.
Name the teams.
Kansas City.
Kansas City when it got D-Hop. Way better than Darius Slayton.
No, yeah. After that, they knew they couldn't have him for low. They wanted to lowball Shane. That's what Shane said.
So you're going to sit here. So you're going to sit here and tell me.
Joe Shane says, I'm not going to give away guys for free. But that's all he fucking does is give away guys for free.
So who are all the guys he gave away for free besides Saquon Barkley, who we couldn't trade at the time because his trade market was low as shit? You're not giving away Saquon Barkley for a 3rd or a 4th round pick. I'm sorry. Who else did he let go for free, Miz?
You was getting a 3rd round pick last year at the week leading up to the trade deadline for Barkley. Okay? There were a few teams that called up. And why he didn't want to trade him? Because I know why. I don't completely blame him. Mara wants people in the seats in December, so we can't give away the only player that people want to come watch. Okay. But, that's just bad business for the future, though. Because now you let him walk away over a measly $1.5 million. Are we serious? And, I'm guilty of one of the guys who was okay with letting him go. I admit that. You and I spoke about that. But, look at it right now. It looks bad, bro. We are 2-8, brother. We are 2-8.
So we're 2-8 because we allowed Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley to leave.
And Julian Love.
And Julian Love is another
one. Who
is
Julian Love, brother?
Pretty good safety when he was
here.
I'm
just telling you what the chat is saying.
No, I'm just saying.
Moderator. Don't be debating with me, nigga.
So everybody's acting like Joe Shane is just letting everybody walk for free. You can only name 3 players that you so-called let walk for free, even though they wanted to keep Barkley at the time because they went to Barkley first. True or not?
True.
Xavier McKinney.
They did go to Barkley first with a negotiation and could not come up with a deal. And then they tagged him and signed DJ.
Xavier McKinney got 17.
All I'm saying is this.
Hold on. Xavier McKinney got $17 million per year on the market to be one of the highest paid. I think he is the highest paid safety in the league.
Right.
And his contract allowed him to get his contract allowed him to get $24 million over the first year. Were we in a position to do that for Xavier McKinney?
No, and let's be honest, half of the fan base was mad at him. Half of the fan base was mad at him for the injury on the 4-wheeler and thought that injury hampered him and he wasn't quite the same and that he wasn't very responsible. So you had half the fan base that wanted him gone and half the fan base was upset about it.
So Julian Love, Dash is in the chat. You can come up here too, Dash, if you want to speak.
And Good
so
Eats.
Julian Love is this great safety.
One second. Good Eats. Stop it, brother. Dexter Lawrence ain't no fake leader, so stop the nonsense.
We're not worried about comments like that. That's nonsense. The dude's a hell of a leader. So Julian Love is a top 5 safety in the league. That's what people are saying. Julian Love is a top 5 safety in the league. What's his skill set? Go ahead, NYG.
So Julian Love got what, 10 million? I think McKinney got 16, 26.
No, he got 17 million per.
17. So you especially somebody like Dash, I hope you come up to debate. You always talk about the bread. So everybody always talk about the bread, but as if the Giants.
What happened?
Oh,
mannequin. That's
yeah,
what happens when you get that mannequin, baby. That mannequin to free you dead of your tracks, like Mitch McConnell.
So you're telling me that Julian Love is a top 5 safety in the league. So you can only name 4 safeties ahead of Julian Love in the league that plays the position better. Are you serious?
When he comes back, you gotta let him talk though, because he was in the movie.
I'm talking to anybody who believes that Joe Shane should be fired for letting those 3 players go. Who are the other players that he's letting walk for free?
I'm naming you.
Big Dash said we offered McKinney 14. Oh, we lost NYD.
I'm angry about. I have never said fire Joe Shane right now. I did not say that. Let me make myself clear.
No, in the beginning he said he's 50-50 on it. He's not there yet.
On Dable, I'm 50-50. With Joe Shane right now, I'm pretty much sure they're gonna stay with the GM. Mara usually stays a long time with GMs, and he's made some good picks. He's done some good stuff. I'm just a little angry that we didn't try to get some things for some of these guys. That's all. But
so
that's
you know what you did. You know what you did get. You got an offensive line that was half decent before Andrew Thomas got hurt. You signed those 3 guys. Illuminor's not here. John Runyon's not here. You might not even get to trade for Brian Burns. He might not even be here because you had to pay Brian Burns in order to trade for him. So are you willing to lose your offensive line and Brian Burns for Xavier McKinney, who you already got Tyler Nubin drafted and got Pinnock and Saquon Barkley? Because Tracy's not here either if you get Saquon Barkley back. What did we do that was so what's going on?
K-Mac says O-line he has drafted have sucked. Had to go the free agency route because of draft bust, which in addition to Moronic Jones' contract allowed some good players out the door. Barkley, McKinney, Love, etc.
So when the Chiefs go and get offensive lineman at free agency, I guess their GM sucks too, right?
That don't matter, man. He made some good free agent offensive lineman pickups, so you got to give him credit for that. Don't matter how you get
Joe Shane just did it too. Our offensive line did a complete 180.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what he said. That's what he's talking about. He was responding to the same comment he was responding to, Pat.
Yeah, I got no. He done good with going to get those guys in the free agency. He patched up the line the way he had to. But so there's good and bad, obviously, with Joe Shane to be fair. Like
so
me,
what I ask the people is, when you compare Joe Shane's good to his bad,
why they
you can come up to debate.
Yeah, if you have a difference of opinion, the link is in the chat.
Let's rock.
Come up and debate. We don't got time to read the comments and continue the debate. So if you have a difference of opinion, click the link, come up here and get your voice heard. I'm moderating. There's no cursing or yelling. It's not a derogative discussion. It is a discussion.
If you're not debating, don't hit the link, please.
Right. So I believe when you add up Joe Shane's resume when it comes to the Giants, I think he's done way more good than bad. Every GM has bad draft picks. I don't care how you look at it or anything. It's just masked by how good the team is. But he fixed the cap. That's what you wanted, right? The cap has been fixed. We got money. The offensive line has been rejuvenated. He's drafted plenty of damn good rookies on his team. And he's also kept a lot of the players that should have been kept on his team as well. So you're willing to say that he's done a horrible job because of maybe a couple of picks that you think that are not panning out, like an Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau. Everybody wants to bash him because it's cool to bash the Giants, but he's done a good job since he's been here. Just because he's not a TJ Watt in his second year doesn't mean he's a bad player. What happened to our run game when Kayvon Thibodeau went down? What happened to our run defense when Kayvon Thibodeau went down? We went to one of the worst in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have to say about that. Make an honest assessment.
I will say this. The Giants have gotten away from developing talent. And largely in part because of all the noise that the fan base makes and content creators as well. Mara and the GMs, I say GMs because it's not just Joe Shane. Mara and GMs have listened to the fan base too much and made bold-headed decisions to try to quell the noise from the fan base. And you can't get rid of a guy in 2 years because he's not what you thought in 2 years. A lot of these guys, even though I'm guilty of saying get him out of here too when I'm angry, a lot of these guys, you got to give them 3-4 years of coaching and developing. The problem is we've been rotating coaches because we can't find one that's worth a damn. So these players are getting drafted and they're not getting developed and coached up.
So
But I digress.
I see, Dash, you continue to put things in the chat. I want you to come up so I can talk to you face to face. You say 24 picks and 7 contributors. Do you know what the hit rate is on draft picks? Do you know what the hit rate is on draft picks in the league? One of the best GMs of all time was around 38 to 34%. That right there is 30%. That's damn good. Name me the GMs that are hitting on 60 to 70% of their picks every year. Name them. Good Eats. I don't know who you are. Can you please show your face before you come up or put your name in the chat? Rob Zero is here as well. I'm going to let you come up so you can speak on this subject.
Now, guys,
get it, man. Y'all hit that like button.
Listen, we're not going to overtalk each other. We're not going to curse or insult each other. Okay? We should be able to talk like men, even if we disagree, without being disrespectful to each other. We want people to be able to view this and get value from it and information from it. So let's be respectful.
Rob Zero, you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
All right. So on this topic, Joe Shane should be fired, and he is a bad GM. And the reason why he is a bad GM is because it is not just one incident or 2 incidents. It is a multitude and a plethora. Pat, you want to bring up the offensive line, and you want to say, oh, it was a top offensive line before Andrew Thomas got hurt. Well, why is it bad after Andrew Thomas got hurt? That is because the GM did not prioritize depth on the offensive line, and that is why the offensive line is bad. That is his mistake. You've got players that were here last year in McKinney and Barkley that if they were not a part of your future plans, i.e. also with McKinney, he didn't understand the market of where McKinney was. That is a GM's job. You offered him well under market value as far as where it was going to, and we saw that with Hard Knocks. Every single player, John Runyon, all of these guys, he had him mapped out as far as an amount, and they got more than what they were talking about in Hard Knocks that they were going to get. You went ahead and you offered Julian Love, I don't know, $6 million or $7 million. He got $6 million from the Seahawks, came back to you, and then you told him no. And then you proceeded to draft his replacement or another safety. You didn't sign McKinney. You didn't tag McKinney. And then because you didn't prioritize that position, but yet you invested a top 50 pick in another safety because you lost McKinney and you said you had a hole there, so you needed to do it. You didn't trade Barkley when you got offered a 2nd-round pick last year, which was confirmed from the Baltimore Ravens. That would have given you 3 second-round draft picks. Your first 2 drafts, meaning Joe Shane's first 2 drafts, are dog shit, except for a except for Kayvon Thibodeau, who still has more to show. Okay. You got, he's calling Wando Robinson a role player. This is a guy that you took in the second round, and you're calling him a role player. A second round player should be an impactful player on your roster, and he is not doing that. You invested a top 10 pick in Evan Neal, and you wouldn't even put him onto the field up until 2 weeks ago. And the only other time we saw him was he couldn't even make it on a goal line play. The first time we saw him was in the Pittsburgh game when they ran that stupid freaking 2-point conversion. But you're bringing a guy, Chris Hubbard, off of somebody's practice squad, and he's playing over a guy that you took in the top 10. You had, again, even with going back after the 2022 season, the way that he handled that offseason, he should have signed Barkley to the deal. It was already reported that there was a $2 million gap. Those reports are well known. Give the guy $2 million. But you committed $160 million to a player that you shouldn't have been committing $160 million to. You should have, if your whole plan, this was reports that came out, the plan all along was to sign Barkley and tag Jones. Well, when Barkley was giving you a problem, you should have said, I'm sticking to my guns. You know what, Barkley? If you're not going to sign for my number, you go hit free agency. I'm tagging the quarterback. But he didn't. He panicked, he caved, and he gave $160 million to a quarterback that's now riding the pine pony. Last year, you had a lot of quarterbacks at 6 that you could have taken that could have changed the direction, but yet he invested $5 million that can get up to $7 or $8 million with incentives for a guy like Drew Lock, who's not even playing right now. They went to Tommy DeVito. So you're paying a guy $5 million to not even touch the field. What you could have done is you could have drafted a Penix, a JJ, a Bo Nix, and sat them behind Daniel Jones. You could have still started Daniel. Daniel could have still started if he was ready. But guess what? He would have been benched a lot sooner than what he was, because you have a future. You have a future waiting in the wing. But everybody wanted Neighbors. Everybody wanted the wide receiver. Everybody wanted to get the skill position. It's exactly what we did in 2018. They passed on the quarterback. They took a skilled positional player, and now they're going to force a quarterback pick in a not-so-good quarterback draft, which is exactly what we did in 2019 when we took Daniel Jones. These guys are horrible. Yes. Is Neighbors a good player? Was that a good pick by Joe Schoen? Absolutely. Was Newman a good pick by Joe Schoen? Absolutely. Like the player. Tyrone Tracy, love the player. A solid pickup in the 5th round. I will give him credit. Drew Phillips, if I didn't say his name, solid pickup. This draft, very much better than his previous 2 years. But if you've done a plethora of wrong and you do one thing right, that doesn't erase all of your wrongs. The Burns trade, sure. Great player, top 10 pass rusher, young, 25 years old. Was that the right move to make? No, it was not. It was not the right move to make. What they should have done was what they were talking about was they should have signed Dexter Lawrence's college buddy, Wilkins, is what they should have done. Christian Wilkins. Because your defensive line is terrible. If they would have traded for Burns, he took not one offensive lineman or defensive lineman in this past draft. Not one. In a deep O-line and D-line draft. And here we are going into what is this, week 10, week 11 that we're going into? And we're still talking about the offensive line being lacking of depth, and we still can't stop the run because we have no depth on the defensive line. This is what the GM has given you. There is absolutely nothing other than for the vibes to justify this man keeping his job. Will he keep his job? More than likely. I'm not oblivious to the fact that he's probably going to keep his job. Does he deserve it? Absolutely not. Because if this was any other GM if this was the GM for the Jets right now, we would be clowning him and laughing at him for everything that they've done. We, as a fan base, we have to stop defending stuff just because they are in our building, just because they're a part of our organization. If one of your boys, if one of your friends is out of pocket, it doesn't matter if you've known him for 20 years. You're going to tell him he's out of pocket. It's the same thing with the Giants. Joe Shane is out of pocket. Brian Dable is out of pocket. I'm not just going to support them because they work for the Giants. When they do good, I'll say they do good. When they do bad, I'll say they do bad. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad fan. It doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean that anybody is not a fan of the team or doesn't want the team to succeed. And there's nothing wrong with you having your stance. But what is wrong is when other people have the opposite stance and they're wrong. Because nobody's saying that you're wrong. You've got your opinion and that's fine. I just don't see the justification that you and others feel that this guy deserves another shot. He had his opportunity. He drafted his quarterback when he signed Daniel Jones. That was his quarterback he chose. That's all I got for the moment.
Okay, can I respond real quick?
Go ahead, MRG.
I'm gonna be brief. So a lot of what you said, I weirdly enough agree with, but I'm gonna give you some pushback. And here's the pushback. First of all, you're combining two people in two different positions because a lot of what you're saying is coaching. A lot of what you're saying about some of the personnel decisions, that's actually on Brian Dable to decide who starts on the offensive line, to decide which wide receivers play, which quarterbacks play. That's actually on Brian Dable, so that's one thing. Another thing you said was Joe Shane did one thing right, but then you named several things that he actually did get right, so this franchise is in better position than it was when Dave Gettleman was here. That's number two. Roster-wise, position-wise, cap-wise. This is all the things that Giants fans complained about. Shane got you there. Is he perfect? No. Who is? But he got you out of a hole where you got people saying now that the Giants are a quarterback away.
Which
so again, this roster is better than it was when Dave Gettleman took over. And the last thing is you can fire Shane and you can fire Dable. I actually agree with firing Dable. I don't like him. But you need a replacement. You know what I'm saying? People always get this notion that it's okay to just fire everybody. Who you got in mind to bring in after them is a big fucking question.
Okay.
Because you're kicking people out the door that has done actually a decent job. Not a perfect job, but a decent job.
Lou, real quick before you can I respond to can I respond to a couple of things he said, Lou, real quick?
I'm gonna let Pat go and then you can respond. Because Pat, it was you and Pat that were talking, and then NYG got in because his internet cut off, so I wanted to let him get in. But let Pat respond to what you said, and then I'll let you respond, please.
Y'all got it. I'll step out the way for a minute.
The thing that people don't get with this GM job is one of the things. You talking about you gonna cut his camera off? Oh. Well, the thing is people go with this GM job and they combine Dable and Shane with decisions when it comes to the roster. Joe Shane doesn't tell who can start and who sits. That's Brian Dable. Joe Shane can't develop the players that's on the coaches. He could get all the players that he wants, but if the person that's supposed to be developing those guys aren't developing those guys, it's going to look like shit like it is. You mean to tell me Deontay Banks wasn't a good player? You mean to tell me Wan'Dale Robinson wasn't a good player? You mean to tell me that all the draft picks that he picked weren't good players? You might not like McFadden, but he's playing damn well for a fifth-round pick. When you look up the hit percentage with GMs and their draft picks, I promise you it's considerably low. If you're hitting between 33 to 38% on your draft picks, you are doing a damn good job. And right now, he's sitting right around 30 with weak development. And I don't care what nobody say. So if you want to say Joe Shane is doing a bad job, go ahead and say it. I'm saying he's doing a decent job considering the situation that he came into. Most of the things that you wanted done, he has gotten done. Now, I'm in favor of firing both of them and bringing in a whole new GM, head coach, and quarterback, because that's the way you're supposed to do it. And let's not say that he chose his quarterback and he drafted his quarterback at Daniel Jones. Now, everybody on this panel and everybody in the doggone chat knows that John Mara was fond of Daniel Jones, and coming off that playoff season, do you really believe John Mara would have let them dudes get rid of Daniel Jones?
He let them get rid of Barkley.
That was because he was deep into right.
Did he want to,
But
Rob?
They were in their third year.
Wait. Let's not talk over each other.
They were in their third year, and they tried to get Saquon Barkley not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. How do you know that John Mara didn't put in effect of not trading Barkley during that time? Because you heard what he said. I'm going to lose sleep because Barkley's almost what?
You're talking about last year?
Player.
You're talking about last year during the season?
In 2023 at the trade deadline.
So last year.
Yeah. How do you know that John Mara didn't nix that? How do you know? Because that's one of his players that brings butts and seats.
Because
that's
the report came out that Barkley said, "Don't trade me." Barkley said that.
Okay, so if you're gonna go with the franchise players, everybody calls him. He said, "Don't trade me because I want to work something out with you." How are you gonna get mad at Joe Shane if he wants to bring back your franchise player? It just didn't work out. It happens. It just didn't work out. What if we give all this money to Xavier McKinney and Julian Love and Saquon Barkley, but your offensive line is still trash? What did we do when Saquon Barkley was here? We only made the playoffs 1 time, and the dude was only healthy 3 years out of the 6 years that he was here, and only had, 2 full years of being healthy? His rookie year in 2022?
Are you talking about Barkley? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, okay. Barkley. We didn't do anything with them here. Sometimes players just need a change of scenery.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that he would need. So let me respond to a couple of your points, if I could. One, when you said that it's not up to, you're right. The GM doesn't say who starts and whatnot, but why bring in an offensive lineman when you could turn around and tell your head coach, you've got a guy that I drafted in the top 10 that's able to play. So it wasn't that he wasn't able to play because he's going out on 2-point conversions. So he was playable. Brian Dable just wasn't playing him. So the GM could turn around and say, I can elevate somebody from the practice squad if I need be. You've also got a couple of guys that are versatile on your offensive line. You could have done that. Instead, he goes and he signs a guy off of the 49ers practice squad, and that week, that guy is starting over Evan Neal when you could have done what they did 2 weeks ago, which was move Illuminor over to left tackle and start Neal at right tackle. Or you could have played Neal at left tackle.
Shane's fault? That's not his fault.
Joe Shane signed the player off of the other practice squad when he could have told his coach, you've got a guy, you've got guys there, use them. That's the first thing. The second thing, people want to talk about the offensive line and the roster and making it work and this and that, whatever. The reason why that stuff is not working or looks the way it is right now is because the GM tied money up to a quarterback that did not deserve to be paid. If they would not have signed Jones to the contract, you would have had way more money available. You could have. Yes, you would have. Hold on, Pat.
If you would 1 second, Daniel Jones, that was $33 million off the cap. That's not true.
Pat,
go ahead.
We've already ran the numbers in our spaces multiple times. Hold on. had multiple people that know the cap way better than you and way better than me, okay, they could have done every single move that they did, every single move that they did after the 2022 year, and they could have tagged Jones. Now, after last season, yes, they could have. We already ran the numbers. I'm not gonna argue with it. But if you don't want to believe it, that's fine.
Let's not talk over each other.
I didn't talk over you, Pat. We've already ran the numbers, and that is facts. So now after last season, okay, you would have been clean and clear. Clean and clear, just like that face cream, clean and clear and under control. He would have been out of your building. You could have reset at that position. You would have had money that you wouldn't have $47 million on your cap this year. That could have gone to McKinney. That could have gone to Barkley. That could have signed 2 premier offensive linemen. You could have signed fucking Robert. I'm sorry for cursing. You could have signed Robert Hunt. That went ahead and went to Carolina, who was a guy that they were targeting. You could have signed him. You could have offered Michael. What was that guy's name? The offensive lineman.
That's your first warning. Next time I'm gonna remove you.
You could have signed the offensive lineman that everybody liked that went to the Patriots. That was he was, I don't know, he didn't have any, I forgot his name, Michael Wenwu or whatever his name was. I think his name was
Wenwu. I think that's his name.
Wenwu was something like that. You could have signed that guy. Like there were options and avenues that he could have went. They had $47 million on the cap. He didn't even offer Barkley a deal this year in the offseason. Barkley even said it. He said it to Diana Rossini. He said it he did not. He knew when the offseason hit, he was never coming back at all. He was never coming back. That is up to Joe Schoen. That is on Joe Schoen. I understand he got offered some deals, but over $2 to $3 million. And then I'll address the John Mara situation. John Mara on Hard Knocks was never forcing anything down anybody's throat. Did he say, I would have liked to keep Barkley? Of course he did. He said it. He's the most popular player. But when they didn't, he allowed them to make the decision. Also in Hard Knocks, he said, if you guys deem it just like in 2004, same situation, if you guys identify a quarterback and have the opportunity to go and get your guy, go and get your guy. I don't think that John Mara forced anything on these guys. And the fact of the matter is, Dable and Schoen, every time those two knuckleheads are at the podium, we're in lockstep. We don't make any decisions without each other. They are lockstepped together. So every decision that is made about this organization, they know about it together. One does not make decisions without the other's approval. Dable says that Schoen is very in tune with who starts. He said this last year in a press conference. He's very in tune with who starts, who's playing, the depth chart, everything like that. And Joe Schoen said that Brian Dable is very heavily involved with his stuff as well. So they're intertwined. They are intertwined.
Let me explain something to you guys about the cap. You're forgetting about the 2022 season. After the 2022 season, Daniel Jones' contract was up, correct?
Correct.
So if they franchised Daniel Jones that year, the franchise number for the quarterbacks was over $33 million that year. That was our whole cap. They would have never been able to sign Andrew Thomas. They would have never been able to sign Dexter Lawrence. Barkley would have walked for free. Hold on, because I'll let you go. Barkley would have walked for free if they would have franchised Daniel Jones. The whole plan was to sign Barkley and Jones, but Barkley kept refusing every contract that they gave him. And so they had to franchise Barkley because you couldn't franchise Jones because we were still in cap hell at the time. So that $33 million out of I think we had like $41 million that year would have came straight off the books. And we only had $8 million to work with that year. That's why it was important to sign Daniel Jones that year if you wanted to keep him here. And not only are they in tune, yeah, they may be in tune making decisions, but the owner who loved Daniel Jones at that time, and did he just made the playoffs and won a playoff game? You don't think John Mara didn't have a little bit to say about Daniel Jones getting the contract that year? And the only way he was going to keep both of them if Daniel Jones got a contract. Because
Pat,
if you would have franchise, hold on.
I'm gonna say this to you. I'm not saying that John Mara didn't hint, just like he did with Barkley. Oh yeah, I think that I'd like to keep Jones. I'd like Jones here. I don't think he forced it upon them. That's my point. I don't think that he didn't say, like, hint to them, oh yeah, I'd love for Jones to be our franchise. I'd love to get him a deal. I'd love to get a deal done. Same way he said, oh, I don't want Barkley to go. I'd like to. Ultimately, if they would have made the decision to do what they did, I don't think John Mara would have gotten involved. I don't think that John Mara, and the last thing I'll say to you is NYG Mason is in your chat. Me and him don't always agree, but NYG Mason is a cap guru, does everything when it comes to the cap on almost all 32 teams. You can look him up. You could talk to him in his DMs. We've talked about it multiple times. Every single move that they did, even if you read it there, Andrew Thomas's and Dexter Lawrence extensions did not affect the cap after the 2022 season. AT was still on his rookie contract. He was going into his 5th year. They could have done every single move that they did after the 2022 year. And the tag for Jones was $32 million.
How do you're not understanding how the cap works, sir. If you let Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas get to the free agent market, do you know how much more money they would have took?
But their extensions. I understand that, but that's not what we're saying. Is Dexter Lawrence was.
And how do you know after that 2023 season they would have want to come back?
Andrew Thomas was still on his rookie contract after the 22 season. So when they got his extension done, his extension did not affect the cap availability in 2023. Neither did Dexter Lawrence.
I'm not talking about 2023.
But you said that, but that's what you said.
In 2023, sir.
Yeah, I'm talking about that offseason after the 2022 season.
That was the year to get both those guys signed in order for them not to go crazy in the free agent market. And
yes, but their cap didn't affect that year,
Hold on. I understand it didn't affect that year, but the players themselves, it affected them. Because if we had the 2023 season that we had, do you really think Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence would have signed the contracts that they did?
But that's not the. But Pat, that's not the conversation.
That's why they did it, sir. They wanted to get them signed before anything happened.
Hold on, Pat. Let's not change the direction of the conversation because
nobody's changing the direction.
We are. Hold on, I'll explain to you why. When you brought up Andrew Thomas and you brought up Dexter Lawrence, you brought up their cap hit in 2020 after the 2022 season. You brought up their cap hit. Now you're talking about whether they would have signed or whatever if the team was bad. We're not talking about that.
The reason why I said they couldn't have franchised Daniel Jones that year because they wouldn't have the money to sign the two.
And that's what I'm telling you. Even if they tagged Jones at $32 million. When they gave the guys
that's why I don't like talking to you guys because you guys don't think.
But Pat, you're not listening to what I'm telling you.
I'm listening to what you're
saying. All right, fellas.
Lou, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No, I know. Pat, but listen, if you're talking over each other, the viewers can't really get the content.
In 2023, Pat, which is the off season, after the 2022 season, the cap implications when you're saying that they wouldn't have had the money. When they gave Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas those contract extensions, that money did not take away from the available cap that they had in that offseason when they signed Bobby O and they signed Jones and they gave Barkley that contract. The extensions for those two players did not affect that cap. So if they would have tagged Jones, they still would have been able to give those guys extensions because those extensions did not take away from their available money in 2023.
You're not understanding. If they would have gave Jones that $33 million, they would have went down to $8 million. I understand that the cap implications, they didn't create anything and hitting against the cap. They would have not been able to sign Bobby O. They would have not been able to sign Barkley. They would not be able to sign anybody that season that they signed because Daniel Jones' cap number would have been so huge. You do still know they had to sign draft picks too, right?
Yes, and why? So then why is there a cap guy that knows way more about the cap than you and me saying that I'm right and you're gonna ignore the fact that he's saying that I'm right on what I'm
I'm
saying.
gonna ignore the fact that you're not thinking ahead. That you're not
Bro,
thinking
what do you
ahead.
mean? But what do you mean?
When you're trying to sign your prominent players, you want to get them before they actually hit the
But
market.
I understand that, but that's not what we're talking about.
Andrew, that's what I'm talking about.
I know, but that's not the topic of the conversation.
It is the topic of the conversation.
All right, fellas, come on, man. Listen, one person talk, the next person talk, one person talk, the next person talk. If we can't come to a conclusion on that, we can agree to disagree and move on to the next topic.
Pat, let me say something here. You're changing the topic from signing your players and making smart decisions versus going ahead and tagging Jones as if that was going to take away from them being able to sign Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence. And I'm telling you that that's not the case. They could have done every move. Signing
all right,
Bobby,
that's it, Kwame. I told you once.
No, leave him on, Lou. Yo, Kwame, grow some balls. Come up, show your face, Cross. Come on, stop hiding behind.
Kick him out the chat.
Nah, he gone. He's calling people fat ass and shit, but you wouldn't say that to nobody in their face.
He don't know how to be a man, so get him out.
Yeah, he won't come up and show his face. He hides behind Snoopy fucking pictures, bro.
This is what I'm trying to get people to understand.
Is he got
when you trying to sign your prominent players, you do that ahead. Andrew Thomas was in the last year of his rookie deal. They did not want to have to be in a position where they had to give him his 5th-year option. And Dexter Lawrence was already in his 5th-year option. If you don't sign those dudes right then and there, they're going to cost you so much fucking money the next season. It's going to be astronomical. Barkley would have been gone for free because we had nobody to restructure contracts to bring in any more money that season. There was no restructures they could have done. Barkley would have been gone. Why do you think they were trying to get Barkley done first? Because if you franchise Daniel Jones, you ruin a whole lot of things for a whole lot of other players that you wanted that season.
And I'm telling you that it wouldn't be the case.
Hold on. That's why they structured the contract with Daniel Jones the way they could get out of it right now. And I'm telling you, when John Mara said we did everything to screw this kid up, and he went out there in 2022 and made the playoffs and won, it was over with. They traded for Waller, and they restructured him to sign the draft picks that year. That's what you guys are not getting. You got to think ahead when you're a GM.
But, Pat, what I'm trying to tell you, what you just said 30 seconds ago, that if you tag Jones, it implicates you being able to extend those other players. I'm telling you, it doesn't.
Okay.
Andrew Thomas was already on his rookie deal. His cap hit the following year, going into the 2023 season, was never going to change. That was his 5th-year option. That was his 5th year that he was going in on. Dexter Lawrence, his contract extension that they gave him didn't change the cap at all. If anything, the cap went down. It saved them like $4 million.
Rob, 1 second. Lou, I want you to put the link in the chat. I got Carl Banks who wants to come in.
Pat's got to put the link in the chat.
All right.
That's all I'm saying to you, Pat, is I'm trying to tell you, and then there's a person in the chat that's trying to tell you all of the moves that they did after the playoff season, they could have done even if they tagged Jones. And then after the 2023 season, when he tore his ACL and everything like that, they could have walked away from him and they could have reset going into this year. They could have drafted their quarterback at 6 because there was 3 available that they could have taken, or they could have taken a developmental guy like a Spencer Rattler or something like that in the 2nd or 3rd round if they wanted to do something like that, and signed a cheap veteran like a Jameis Winston or a Marcus Mariota or a Jacoby Brissett or something like that. Or shit, you had Tyrod Taylor. You could have re-signed Tyrod Taylor. They could have done that, and they didn't do it. So now the fact that you paid Jones, you lost McKinney, you lost Barkley, you missed out. It is. But yes, it is.
Signed him if they wanted to. They didn't want to sign him. It's not because Daniel Jones got his contract.
It was the reason why he wasn't signed is because he didn't. Again, like I said earlier when I came on, He didn't understand the markets. He does not understand the markets of these players. He wanted to go ahead and offer Xavier McKinney 14 when Bates got paid more than that. Bates got like $16 million just a year or two prior to that. He doesn't understand what the markets are.
So they were predicting Xavier McKinney to get 17 million on the market before the market hit. Who was predicting Xavier McKinney to get 17 million?
We were in the spaces, bro.
So y'all were predicting that he was going to get $17 million?
Yeah, 16
is in the league.
He was going to get $15 to $17 million.
Wasn't nobody predicting that, bro.
Come on,
with all due respect, NYG, you weren't in the spaces when we were talking about it, but yes, we were. When we were talking about him getting $15 to $17 million. That's what we were talking about it.
Okay. Everybody was predicting that dude to be like a top 5 safety to be paid in the league, and that was around $14 to $15 million. Nobody thought that he was going to get $17 million on the market.
15 to 16 is different from 17. It's different.
And then the contract.
Okay, that's a $2 million difference.
$23 million over the first year.
His cap hit this year is only $7 million with the Green Bay Packers. That makes
after the first year, after the second year, his contract is structured the way it goes super high. But
here's the thing. Okay, Pat, but here's the thing then. If that's the case, this makes Joe Shane look even worse because you could have hold on, and I'll explain. You could have You could have signed Xavier McKinney, right? His cap hit this year is only $7 million. You could have made the space for it. And then guess what? If Daniel Jones hits this year, what are you going to do? You're going to restructure his deal and you're going to push some money back. Or if you were going to get rid of him anyway.
Xavier McKinney, a light-skinned Jermaine, and John Runyon. Who would you rather have?
Say again?
Who would you rather have? Xavier McKinney or light-skinned Jermaine and John Runyon? Who would you rather have?
You said John Runyon and who?
Light-skinned Jermaine Illuminor. Who would you rather have?
I would rather have McKinney and my GM actually know how to draft offensive linemen.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would like there was a plethora of offensive linemen in the draft that he could have drafted. And if he didn't go, and if he would,
Name them.
I don't know names, bro. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know names, but I know that the people that do study the draft and all that stuff, there was a plethora of guys. Okay, so then don't question me and telling me to name names when you know it's a deep offensive lineman draft. Okay, but was it Pat? Was it not a deep offensive line draft? Yes or no?
There was Cooper Beebe. There was the top half of the draft.
Was it a deep offensive lineman draft? Yes or no?
No.
It was okay, Pat.
It wasn't.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next topic, Lou.
Yeah, I want to move on to the next topic because this is getting nowhere. All right, so
let CJ talk. He wants to talk.
Yeah, man.
If we were,
I just don't understand, man. Why everybody keep overhyping all these sad ass players? My bad. All these sad players. Daniel Jones is trash.
Nobody said Daniel Jones was great. Everybody on this panel agrees Daniel Jones has to go, so that's nullified.
You said what?
Everybody on this
everybody
panel
here agrees DJ got to go.
All right. Yeah, but I'm saying, bro, I'm talking about just in general. Like everybody on Twitter, all that keep acting like Daniel Jones was good. He's trash. And not only that, Big Pat, me and you were just having a conversation earlier on Twitter where you was just literally trying to act like Daniel Jones was good.
So what did I say to act like Daniel Jones was good? Please tell me.
Hold up, man. Hold on.
He had a good college career.
Hold on. Hey, this show is a debate about Dable and Shane. We're not up here talking about Daniel Jones. This is a specific debate about Brian Dable and Joe Shane.
Yeah, Joe Shane, he should be fired. And Dable, both of them should go. They ain't did nothing. They ain't did nothing that Joe Shane and Gettleman ain't did. They did the same exact move.
The team is the same.
Neighbors is the player. Like Neighbors is the one superstar player that Gettleman one superstar player was with Saquon. Now his superstar player is Neighbors. But where are the other superstar players at? We ain't got no other superstar players outside of Neighbors.
So you looking for
Last
superstar
time we
players,
ain't had
right?
no
You
superstar
trying to
players
build this
outside
team, or
Saquon.
are you trying to build a football team
No.
or a fantasy team, homie? What are you trying to build?
I'm saying,
Because you keep saying
how? Like you
superstar
saying
players.
that like I'm saying something wrong. Every team that's good, that's a Super Bowl contender, that's a playoff contender, got superstar players. When we was winning Super Bowls back in 2007, 2011, we had multiple superstar players on offense and defense. Where are superstar players at? We ain't had none since I don't know when.
We had superstar players on defense,
Who?
and them superstar Dexter Lawrence.
All right, you got Dexter Lawrence, and that's it.
You got Brian
You got
Burns.
All right.
Dexter Lawrence, Brian
Brian
Burns, Bobby
bro, he's not
Okereke,
that.
a Pro Bowler.
He's mediocre.
We-
He's not that good, bro.
We're gonna move on to the next part of the debate, which is what I was about to do anyway. So, in the event that at the end of this season, Brian Dable and Joe Shane, or Brian Dable is fired, go ahead, Miss.
No, I just wanted to say, Carl Banks is tweeting me. He may come on. He's watching. He may. If Carl Banks come on, everybody shuts their mouth and let.
I think everybody knows that. If they're all Giants fans,
you got people that like to be disrespectful.
well, that's all right. They get thrown backstage if they're disrespectful to the legend. But what I was gonna say is, in the event that Dable is fired, who are the head coaches that we are looking at? Right, the names that are being tossed around is Belichick, which I really don't think anybody competes with him if he really wants the job. Vrabel is another name I've heard thrown around. Some people said an offensive coordinator from Detroit or something like that. I personally don't want any unproven head coaches anymore. We've had enough first-time coaches. I'm tired of being the guinea pig of the NFL. Go get us a proven head coach. But if Vrabel is an option, is that something that you guys want? Is Belichick something that you guys want? And what's your stance on that?
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go first.
My bad, Pat.
I want Vrabel here. If Dable is fired, I'm on Mike Vrabel, whoever the GM that you want to get. I'm gonna study up on some GMs that could come in, but I want Mike Vrabel as the head coach, and the reason why is because he's a leader of men. And not only would I bring Vrabel in, I will get Jalen Milroe in the first round, and I will build a running squad with the New York Giants. As far as using Tyrone Tracy and Jalen Milroe in the RPO, you got Neighbors, you got Wan'Dale Robinson, and you get you a third receiver in free agency, maybe even be able to sign T. Higgins, because the money that everybody's saying that Daniel Jones is taking up, you get that back after this season, and you could go get a T. Higgins, and let's rock. See, the foundation has been built with the offensive line when Andrew Thomas comes back, and I go get me a role grading guard, or if Mike Vrabel gets a hold of Evan Neal, I think Evan Neal could be a hell of a guard. And you run the ball like hell, and you run off the play action, the RPO, and you control the ball on offense. And I know that's what Mike Vrabel will do. I know that for a fact. And his defense is okay if they're not on the field all the damn time.
All
They're
right.
not on the field all the dang on time. There will be a whole lot better defense, because everybody sees that this defense breaks down after halftime because they're on the field so much. That's my point.
Miz?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? It's no secret where I want to go. I'm gonna bring in Belichick with his resume and his career, because this shit show is like of epic proportion, and you need a real man who, when he walks inside that locker room, everybody's gonna be stunned quiet. Okay, a man that when he speaks, you're gonna listen, and he's gonna change the culture. He's gonna take the Giants back to old school football, because the Giants ain't gonna be winners again until they get back to who we are. We gotta be true to our history. That's pound the rock, play physical defense where nobody wants to come over to the Meadowlands, and you gotta get back to that. Special teams, pay attention to detail. So I'll take Belichick for 3 to 4 years. But I want him to have a successor also. And he may not get us back to the Super Bowl, but I know for a fact he's going to turn this program around back into a football program and not the circus it's become. That's what I want.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead,
Who's
brother.
it?
So I wouldn't mind. Look, I think with this organization needs basically they need to be reset from a cultural standpoint and from a fundamental standpoint, and they need to be led. They don't need a fanboy, or I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with relating to players, but I think Mike Vrabel, I agree with what Pat said. I like Mike Vrabel. Players love him. He's a former player, so I think he can relate to the players, but he's got a tough mindset and mentality. They won a lot of games in Tennessee. They made it to the conference championship game. So he's got a resume. Ben Johnson, I know that he's a first-time head coach. Lewis said, I know you don't want to be the guinea pig, but Ben Johnson has been a pretty hot topic. I know Brian Dable was as well. But what I think I like about Ben Johnson is he's coming from the Lions, which is a hard-nosed football team right now, knows how to beat you physically, mentally. Right now, they're just playing very, very tough football. And I think getting somebody from the Detroit Lions, from the coaching staff, Ben Johnson, I'll give a shout out. This is not my take, but shout out to my man, my boy Bass. He's brought this name up a couple of times with Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator there in Detroit as well. Another guy that's been around the league, spoke with Bill Parcells, went to go be a scouter, recruiter, whatever, worked his way up the ranks. Again, part of that organization that right now is a physical organization, punches you in the mouth, can be physical with you, wear you down. There's just a really, really good mindset and culture that's there in Detroit right now. And I think getting a guy like a Ben Johnson or an Aaron Glenn would be good. Mike Vrabel also. I'm not big on the Bill Belichick thing. I don't want
79 years old.
I don't want Bill Belichick, although I am not putting past John Mara making a panic decision and doing something like that to try to change his organization. I'm not oblivious that he could make a mistake of that caliber.
Let me ask you one question, Rob, about the whole Ben Johnson, because I think that dude is dope too. Do you think that he's a leader of men? Have you done any studying on Ben Johnson as far as him being a leader of men? I know he's a good offensive mind, but coming into the situation with the Giants, we all know that they need a leader of men that could get these guys motivated and get these guys to go out there and produce the way they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any research on Ben Johnson as far as him being a leader of men?
I haven't done any research with him as far as with that, but I think that there's a lot of ways that you can become a leader of men or earn the leadership with your players. And, him coming in, the way that he's running the offense with the Lions, learning from Dan Campbell and how they're operating and what they're doing, I think he's going to take some of what he learned, but also kind of make it into his own. But if he comes in there and I think the problem that we're having right now is, you got Brian Dable preaching stuff, but then he's not delivering with what he's preaching, and it's not working with what he's preaching. But if you can get a guy that comes in and tells you, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, trust me, believe me, if we do this, it's going to work. Yeah. And when it works, at that point, now you become a leader. Now your players buy into you. Now they trust you. They're going to ride with you. But right now, we don't have that. You got Brian Dable preaching stuff. Hey, I'm proud of what we're doing. We're chipping away. We're not that far off. And yet each and every week, it's fundamental mistakes. They don't look like they're anywhere near off. They're in the last in the division. So as far as doing the research, I haven't. But I'm sure he's going to take a lot of the stuff that he learned there with Dan Campbell and with that organization, make it his own. And then when he comes here, if he has a way of earning those players' leadership by doing that. So
shout out to everybody in the chat. I know I'm not reading your comments like I normally do, but we're trying to keep this debate going and keep it organized. But thank you, everybody. And shout out to Nerd Cage. What's going on, man? Nerd? NYG, what you got?
Man,
He says
I
Bill
have to.
fucking a 24-year-old girl. He's motivated.
Yo, that's what I want to know. Right before NYG goes, NYG, just for 1 second, bro, before you go, bro. How you gonna sit here and tell me that Belichick's old and he's not motivated? You want to bring another fucking coordinator over here? When he gets to the Giants, he's gonna find out that he ain't got a quarter of the weapons that Detroit has, and he's gonna be back at the same bullshit. So whatever, go ahead, NYG.
I mean, when he took over there as the offensive coordinator, they didn't have weapons there, and they made them. They drafted well.
Team, Rob, we don't have that team. You know that.
But they didn't. That team wasn't there. Their team is there now because they drafted well, and they know how to scout players, and they know how to coach players.
And didn't we hear these? And then we hear these same things when they brought these two guys here from Buffalo.
I mean, and here's the thing, Miz, too. It's the same thing in Houston. Nobody thought Houston was good. Nobody knew who Nico Collins was, and he was just great. And then Bobby Slowick goes there.
I did. I was banging Nico Collins.
D'Amico
Ryan. He was banging Nico Collins. Wait a minute, sir.
What's going on here? Can I get my thought out real quick?
My bad.
Pause. You was banging Nico Collins?
Man, you know what I mean, bro. You make it like we didn't know. I knew who Nico Collins was. Pat and I were talking about him.
Hell yeah, I knew who Nico Collins was out of Michigan. I knew who he was.
Okay.
Go ahead, NYG.
Let NYG get his thought on this. Out of those coaches, which ones do you think, or do you see somebody else potentially becoming a head coach here? If Dable is fired,
out of those three, you know, I got to stir the conversation up. I'm on Popular Opinion Sports. Out of those three, I actually agree with Rob and Pat. I want Vrabel. But let's spin this thing, man. Let's get funky with it. Deion Sanders. What about Deion Sanders? We talked about.
Get the fuck out of here. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard.
The other night.
I'm sorry, MLG. I apologize.
I'm about to start muting mics.
Zion.
Relax.
Well, hello to you too, Zion. But wait a minute.
If you're going to draft
sorry for swearing.
a Sador Sanders, hold up. Can I talk?
Yes.
I've been good today. Right.
Yes,
I've been good today. Look, man, you talking about a leader of men. Is Deion Sanders not a leader of men? Okay. You got a young team. You know what I'm saying? Damn, they're a college team. These dudes don't know what the fuck they doing right now. You are going to draft a quarterback. Sador is the top of the list. Those are three things that line up. He's not going to Dallas. They paid Dak Prescott. The Giants got a quarterback opening right now in the biggest market in the world, in New York City. You know what I'm saying? I just throwing it out there. Like I said, my pick is Vrabel, but I don't want people to act like Prime is not a good candidate to be a head coach. I don't want people to act
this whole stream was set up on the premise of that topic, right? But slightly different. We were saying that Prime doesn't want his kid here in New York in the cold and everything else, and the way the sports media is here, you know, he don't want his kid dealing with that, and he knows what that entails, right?
I mean, last time I checked, it gets pretty cold in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
But
I said the way the sports media is here.
I know. I'm just busting chops.
And so the debate came up because of the conversation being that Deion would be able to manipulate where his son gets drafted, and then the opposite side was Deion don't have enough pull to dictate who drafts his son. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's how the topic got started. Mm-hmm. That's where the debate arose from, correct?
Yep.
So my question now is Deion Sanders got enough pull in the NFL to throw his weight around, basically let his nuts hang and say, no, my son is not going to go there. He's going to go here.
Yeah.
And if so,
yeah, go ahead, Lou, because this is between me and my brother NYG.
Well, then let's let Zion get his thoughts before y'all go get it.
Yeah, I want you. I want to hear you guys' thoughts too. But I will say this.
Because I don't want you interrupting with no more
I'm not.
unruly outbursts.
I'm not going to
And
interrupt.
shout out to the 205 that's in the chat.
It's not a.
Let's go.
Shout out to the
outburst.
panel
Hit that
too, man.
subscribe button.
I know we've beefed in the past, man, but salute Rob, salute CJ, Zion.
Hey, thank you guys for stopping in, man. For real. Even
Hey,
if we disagree,
I gotta get ready for work, man. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
no,
Yeah.
listen. Even if we disagree, we should be able to have discourse like men without insulting each other and disrespecting each other.
Yep.
So you know what I mean. We all got an opinion. We all got a point, and everybody should be able to speak and get their point across without being insulted or disrespected. So I'm gonna stop taking up time. I'm the moderator. Go ahead, Zion. Get your thoughts out real quick. CJ,
I love
as well.
it.
You said you got to go to work.
I love it. I'll make it fast. I will say this.
Shout out to Big Pat too, man. I know you be making a lot of boneheaded opinions, man, but I still rock with your channel though.
Oh, you don't rock with me because I'm me, my dude. But I got you.
Yeah, I will say this real fast. You know that outburst at NYG was just like two homies drinking beers. I'm like, what did you just say? He really lived up to his name, unpopular. We're good. We know we're good. We're fam. That being said, Big Blue Crew. I wanted to go first, but it's all good. Pat, honestly, me and Pat, we may disagree on some things, but he hit it on the nail, man. As I'm gonna touch on Dion and why I don't think he's head coach ready just yet for the NFL. Yeah, it's one thing to win in the Big 12. He did good things at Colorado this year. Colorado's on a 4-game win streak, 6-1, almost undefeated in the conference. Outside of they're 6-1 in the conference, 8-2 overall. But that's the Big 12 we're talking about. That's not the Big 10. That's not the AC. That's not the SEC. You know, as far as college goes, how's Oregon doing? I called them to win it all at the beginning of the season. Hopefully they do it. I want to see them versus Indiana, but that's the time for another day. I want to see Indiana and Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, but that's a topic for another day. I will say this. Pat absolutely hit it on the nail. You get someone like Mike Vrabel. I don't want to repeat exactly everything he said, but that guy is basically an over 500 head coach that won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots as a player, that knows how to lead guys, that was robbed out of his coaching spot because of a quarterback named Marcus Mariota. I love the dude representing Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Hawaii. But that being said, though, didn't make it as an NFL standing quarterback. And fortunately, that was the end of the road with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. Obviously, he's a consultant with the Browns now. I think you bring him in, and absolutely, if you look at the GM, you promote Brandon Brown. If you watch Hard Knocks, Brandon Brown looked like the smartest individual in the room. Absolutely, I think he'd be able to manipulate the cap and work some things. That's a conversation for another day too, because I know you guys talked about that earlier. But I'm with Pat on that, and it's funny because we've been talking about this on my podcast, Premium Takes. We wanted T. Higgins for the longest. I think you bring in someone like T. Higgins. Me and Miz talked on the phone today. If DK Metcalf wants out of Seattle, you bring in someone like DK Metcalf. Mike Vrabel, yes, you need superstars. I think Zero or someone said it earlier. You need superstars. Yeah, you can't just win with a Justin Jefferson in this league no more. We can't just win with Malik Neighbors. We can't just win with a Dexter Lawrence. But you know what we are doing? We need to win with player development. And I think that's how I'm just going to add it in there. I'm a Miami Heat fan. You guys all know that. Miami Heat, we don't want to go get the superstar. We want to develop in-house. And that's one thing that's been plaguing this organization for the longest. We don't develop in-house and we let our players go. Future Hall of Fame is hurdling backwards in Philadelphia. Okay, we can get into that later. I just want a head coach in here that played, that's defensive mind, that exactly what Pat said. We're going to be a one-first team physical football. When Michael Vick went to jail when I was younger, and I wanted to pick a team, what drew me to the Giants is the defensive line play. The defensive play, the tough-nosed, hard knocks football. We're going to punch you in the face, and we're going to run the ball on you and hit you with the play action. We need to get back to our fundamentals. We are a New York Giants 5-star organization that is now, I call them New York trash cans. I've been calling them New York trash cans for the last 6 months.
Don't get put in the damn gulag.
Don't tell me how to fan, though. They've been trash cans for the longest, and I'm going to fan how I want to fan. I love this team.
You don't get to come on here and call my team trash cans.
But this team is damn near trash cans. And you have. I'm just going to end it with this. I don't want to. I'm not here to say I told you so. I don't do that stuff. But it's so mind-boggling to me that a GM can sit up there and laugh about like, oh, we're gonna be fine, and not even try to at least try to. You don't have to go in the first round, not even the second. At least just get a quarterback in here, other than Drew, other than Drew Lock, please. Couldn't have we drafted one in the 5th? Couldn't be acquired one in free agency that wasn't Drew Lock? Hopefully Tom DeVito finishes out the season good, but I'm gonna let you guys talk. Thank you so much for having me on. Let's get it.
That was a whole lot, Zion, but I understand where you're coming from.
Round and around we go.
Round and around we go. Oh, round and around we go. Oh, hey, listen.
That's all love, G.
We're gonna get to the primetime Sanders not having enough juice to determine where his son goes. Correct? So me and NYG was having a conversation. Lou, did you want to say something? I see you. Did you want to say something real quick?
No, I said fire away.
I'm here to keep everything civil,
okay,
so that the viewers can actually understand what's being said, and we can put out a stream that everybody can enjoy and hopefully learn from and get their opinions across on.
So the whole ideal of primetime Sanders not having enough juice to get where his son wants to go, I believe that's hogwash. Because for one, he's primetime Sanders. And no matter where this dude has went, he does numbers. Whether you like him or not, this dude has a lot of pull. This dude literally got his son from a commit to not South Florida, but I think Central Florida. Like a 1-star, 2-star recruit. Took him to Jackson State and had people talking about his son as a Heisman candidate at Jackson State. So they go on to win at Jackson State a couple of times. They didn't even win the whole championship. They lost in both times. Takes them to Colorado. Let me repeat, Colorado. A team that's won like 2 games in the past 3 years before he got there. And now he's got him as the biggest sensation in college football, as one of the top 2 draft picks in the season because of the way they promote themselves. And if that dude says he does not want his son playing for the New York Giants, he will not be playing for the New York Giants. And that's a fact because he has way too much pull in this new era. There's not too many critical thinkers in this era like he is, and he can use whatever tools he needs to use to get him out of New York. One of the main things is playing the actual race card in reverse. Everybody on the New York Giants, not saying it's on this panel or everything, but you go on Twitter, what do you see? The Giants need to draft a black quarterback, black quarterback, black quarterback, black quarterback. Okay, that works in John Mara's favor until he switches it and say, you're not going to treat my son like you're his slave master. That's exactly what he's going to do. And he will not be in New York. I promise you that. But go ahead, NYG. Let's get this debate going.
Man, look here, bro. Deion Sanders, yeah, superstar player, Hall of Famer, great and all that. But he's not going to stop the New York Football Giants, one of the premier despite being dog shit. That look at the stats. They are still one of the most valuable franchises in the NFL. You know, I think top 3 next to Dallas and another team.
Top 3.
So you're not going to tell me that John Mara, again, who has a seat at that table with Jerry Jones and all of them, you know, that Deion Sanders, a coach, a former player, is going to stop him or the Giants from drafting Shedeur Sanders. Now, the race angle is one thing to be played, but again, who is going to be the coach? That's the key thing. Because again, if there's a coach here that Deion and them like, because the one thing he said was he wants somebody that's going to coach his son. I guess assuming he's not going to be there. You know what I mean? If that's the case, you know, and the Giants bring somebody in here like a Ben Johnson, like Rob said, or one of these offensive guys, not my pick, I'm just throwing it out there. Why wouldn't Dion, why would he block the Giants from drafting him? So he going to block the Giants from drafting him so he can go to Jacksonville?
Raiders.
The Jets? Cleveland?
Could be Raiders. Could be Raiders. Could be Dallas.
The Raiders might not be up there though.
Yeah, but
they
would offer a lot to I mean, look, they could offer. Raiders could definitely offer up a lot to get up to that one spot. I think I don't like the race thing because if the Giants were in position this year to take Caleb Williams, they would have taken Caleb Williams. If they were in position, if they would have in position to take Jaden Daniels, they would have taken Jaden Daniels. So I don't agree with the race thing. I understand that they haven't drafted a black quarterback, but there's
the whole reason that the race thing is even in play. Sorry to interrupt you. Is because of the ongoing litigation with the whole Flores situation and the allegations that was made with that. So that's why, you know, that can be used and come in and be a factor.
Well, yeah, but I think it goes. I think a lot of people that talk about the race thing, it's a lot deeper than just Brian Flores. It's because the team has never drafted a black quarterback. But there's been a lot of teams that haven't drafted a black quarterback in the first round. Like I don't think the Steelers have ever drafted a black quarterback. I don't think that the Patriots have ever drafted a black quarterback in the first round. Like, yeah, they've taken black quarterbacks before. They did this past year, but never to be like the face of their franchise. So so there's a lot of, but like again, if the Giants were in position, they would have taken Jaden Daniels or they would have taken Caleb Williams. I will say this to push back on NYG. Arch Manning did not even have the same type of caliber of career or pull as probably Deion Sanders does. And Arch Manning, given their name and everything like that, but I would say that Deion probably right now is a much bigger name than what Arch Manning was at the time. I know Peyton was in the league and everything, but if Arch Manning can do it, Deion Sanders can do it. And now
Manning did what?
They negated and kind of moved around where Eli was going to go.
Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers.
Didn't want to play for the Chargers.
The Eli Manning situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that Prime would be able to do this exact same thing. Now, I don't necessarily know how Shador feels. I brought this up yesterday or the day before in a space. I think what's going to hurt Shador is Dion going on a podcast with Keyshawn Johnson saying that, like, oh, well, I'm not going to have my son going somewhere where I don't want him to go. Even if you're joking, even if you're not being serious, those are things that you shouldn't say because it gives off the wrong impression. So ultimately, I think Shador is going to do well wherever he goes. He's just got to go to the right system. But to something that you said, NYG, is I think the way that you make the Giants more attractive is you get these two excuse my language again, knuckleheads out of this building in Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and you bring in new people in here. Why would it be attractive to bring in guys that are on the hot seat going into your quarterback's rookie year, and you need that rookie to show up and show out, like CJ Stroud did his rookie year, or like Jaden Daniels is doing right now? And what happens if he doesn't? Now you're going to bring in a new GM. Now you're going to bring in a new head coach. If you want to make the Giants an attractive organization for a rookie quarterback, fire Dable, fire Shane, reset there, and that will make you more attractive. But as of right now, you're looked at as a clown show. You're looked at as an organization that that's running on fumes at the moment. The other thing I'll say is this. Look at what just happened with Daniel Jones. Now, people could say, oh, well, if Daniel Jones was black, he wouldn't have had the same. Look, John Mara is going to give every opportunity, at least with this organization, for GMs, coaches, quarterbacks to have success. And so I think whoever they take, whatever color that person is, brown, black, white, purple, blue, green, yellow, whatever, they're going to have their opportunity to do what they need to do. I do think that John Mara is involved in some capacity, but I don't think it's more than, hey, I'd like to see this, but whatever you choose to do, I'm with you on that. I think that he's not Jerry Jones. He's not trying to control everything. I think he implements what he would like, and whether it happens, great. If it doesn't, then it's whatever.
And that's a point that you real quick. I just want go to one point he made. The fact that, just to add to my argument, the fact that they gave Daniel Jones 6 years should be attractive for a young quarterback coming in, because he should know that the Giants are going to be somewhat of a patient organization when it comes to the quarterback position, which would appeal to Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders. Go ahead, Pat.
But the fact that what Rob was saying is the whole ordeal is that Dable and Shane are still here. That was the whole thing. Prime ain't letting his son come here if Dable and Shane are still here. I'm sorry.
Dable got to go. I mean, we already, I'm saying.
So the question was, does he have enough pull to stop him from being the quarterback of a Brian Dable-led offense and a Joe Shane-led
That's a different argument, Pat. That's a totally different
that's
argument.
What the argument was about. Could he stop that?
I wasn't arguing for Brian Dable.
No, I'm not saying you're arguing for Brian Dable. He's saying that the scenario is Brian Dable or Joe Shane are still here. They have the number 1 and the number 2 pick. And they're saying, we're going to take Shedeur Sanders. And I'm saying Prime is going to be like, ain't no way he's going to get here. And I'm saying that you will have enough pull to get that done.
Only way he could do it is to sit out. I want to do that. That's
and look, and there's something in Sports Illustrated. There was a nice little interview that Shedeur did today. I saw it earlier today, but Sports Illustrated was talking about it. He was on this podcast. I don't know if it's
his
podcast.
Him. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's his podcast and whatnot.
As a matter of fact, Rob, I'm gonna pull it up for you. Hold on, pause.
And he was asked. He was like, what about you being quarterback for the Giants? And dude, he was all smiles. Like Shedeur was all smiles about it and shit like that or whatever. So look, I think it's going to be about people. I think people are going to get a perception of Shedeur based on his father and some of his father's comments. And I'm not going to be the one to do that. But at the same point, Deion needs to keep his mouth shut and let Shedeur be Shedeur and not ruin shit. Because maybe he was joking around about, I'll control on Keyshawn Johnson's, but you can't be doing that shit because it gives the wrong impression of your kid when he's going to go and interview with some of these teams. Now, granted, they may hear these rumors and talk with him and realize, oh wow, this guy's a lot different than what we're being led on. But it shouldn't have to come to that. He shouldn't be going into these interviews at the combine, fighting for his life, trying to prove that he's not something that's being portrayed of him, but of course, because of his dad. He should be going there just being his normal self, and it's a shame it's going to end up coming to that. But go ahead, Pat.
Hold on, let me play the actual interview Rob was speaking of, and then I want to say something about what Rob just said as well. Well, it would help if I had the volume.
I just got to take a second. New York Giants bench Daniel Jones after being 2-8. Honestly, I just got to take a second to, regroup. Just hopefully get someone good at the draft. What you doing that for, though? What you doing that for? I mean, Malik Neighbors was my favorite receiver playing college football last year. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if I see y'all two on the team together. I'd be actually very happy. Come on, man. He being federal. Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's just up to the staff and up to the coaches at that point. I don't know. No comment. That's just a safe route for me. Just no comment. I can't even turn water into wine right now. I can't do anything. So just no comment. But New York.
So that right there changed my perspective of him not wanting to come here. Now to what Rob said about primetime. I guess you're saying that he would be interfering with his son's career by doing that. My question is why is it always, and it's just fathers in general, why are they always questioned when they want the best for their son? If I'm the father and I've played in the NFL, I am considered one of the greatest players to ever play, and I know the game. And I don't want my son to go to dysfunction. Why is it bad for me to interject with my son who I want to succeed? Why is it bad for me to interfere in that, knowing that if he went to the Giants and Brian Daboll, they could ruin my son? And I got something to say about that, and I don't want that to happen to my son. Why is it always bad on fathers? Because if it was his mother, I bet you they wouldn't say anything about that. Go ahead, Lou.
I'm the moderator.
Go ahead, Lou.
No, it's because they don't want men to be men and fathers to be fathers. They have a sick agenda that they're pushing. But let me be quiet. We're talking sports.
But
go ahead,
I haven't spoken about this. I don't have much. I don't buy for a second that if the Giants, the New York Football Giants from the greatest city on the planet, wants to draft Deion Sanders' son to be the quarterback that's going to lift the Giants out of darkness. And if he does that, and you know how people are held in New York when they take a team to a championship, that he's going to say, no, I don't want to go to the New York Football Giants. I dare you to do that. The Miz dares you. Let's see it.
Okay, Miz. So as much as dysfunction that we are in, are we a dysfunctional team? Can everybody say that on the panel? Are we a dysfunctional team?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it can absolutely come out of it
right now.
But listen to this. Do you think Primetime Sanders needs New York?
No.
To be successful or to have his kid at the mountain.
But you saying he don't want New York though, Pat?
I'm saying that he might not want New York because of the dysfunction, and he doesn't want his son to go through that. That's what I'm saying. And you guys are mentioning that New York is the place to be, and that is absolutely a fact. The biggest marketing thing ever, city ever. But you're talking to primetime Deion Sanders. He is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That dude, anywhere this dude goes.
Let me talk to Deion Sanders.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pat, let me talk to Deion Sanders for a second right now. Mr. Deion Sanders, would you come with your son to MetLife for a visit? This is just a visit after Joe Shane has been living at every one of your son's games in Colorado. I'm pretty sure he's going to come because they got to do their big screen. Hold on. You coming in the stadium, okay? First of all, I'm going to take you a walk to the goddamn 4 shiny Lombardis. Then we're going to look at pictures of Lawrence Taylor and many others, Eli Manning, Phil Simms. Guess what? Now I'm going to show you Manhattan from across the way from the stadium. Then I'm going to sit you down and tell you this. Do you see Strahan? Do you see Tiki Barber? Do you know how much money is waiting for you in this market outside this football field? Do you know what kind of career you have waiting for you in 15 years from now in the broadcasting booth? And oh, by the way, Mr. Shador, I challenge you to take this great organization that's been in darkness for a decade and take us to the Lombardi, and you'll have one of the parades that you can never even dream of in your life. How does that sound? Are you up for the challenge, my little brother?
And I'm going to talk as Deion Sanders because I got to smoke a black on this one. Mr. Whoever you are, Mr. Miz, I got my own Lombardis. I got my own legacy.
He's got 3.
Facts. I got 3. You got 4. I got 3 as a player.
He's got 3 by himself.
When I say my name, Deion Sanders, when I say my name, Deion Sanders, it rings bells around the league, around college. Anybody, I got football players that imitate me. When there's a great corner, who do they say they could be better than? Deion Sanders. When it comes to the top players in the NFL ever, I'm top 5 at least in everybody's category. I don't need you. I'm marketing, period. I can send my son to the freaking Tennessee Titans. And if he does well, he's going to be the top of the league. My name rings bells, it moves mountains, and is sports, period. Just sports, period. I played in the World Series and played with the Falcons in the very same year, very same week, very same day. I don't need you. I'm me. I don't care about your little Manhattan City. I don't care about your little trophies. I don't care about you being a premier franchise. I could go to Jerry Jones and be a king anytime I feel like it. I don't need you. That doesn't move me. What does your organization do? Is your organization going to be good enough to hold my son to where he could be the best of his ability with Brian Daboll and Joe Shane? Because everybody on this panel has clowned him, said he's not doing good moves. You don't know what the scheme is with the head coach. How does that fit my son? You can't get past the number one pick. So how you gonna sell me on Lombardi's? You're the number one pick. I don't need you. You need me. That's exactly
Okay.
what he's
I got
gonna
a question now.
Let me respond.
Yeah, Miz.
I got a
Yeah, Miz. I think you're selling the wrong person. You need to be
What?
selling
He
John.
was-
You need
Selling
to,
the wrong
He was
person?
selling Sador.
you were selling.
Miz
No,
was-
he was selling Dion. What he needs to do is you need to sell John Mara. Is who you need to be talking to, and say, John Mara, listen.
That's true.
You had Eli Manning for 17 years, and your organization was a flagship organization. You've got history here. But the times have changed. The era of football has changed. And the era of the black quarterback has arrived. And you need to show that the dysfunction of your organization, had it not been for number 10, would have been for the last 30 years. The last decade has been atrocious, and you've been ran into the ground. You need to set yourself free, set yourself apart from what is and what could be the joke of the New York Giants, and set your organization up for success. And how you do that is you get a new GM, you hire a new head coach, and then at that point, you open up the doors to sell to the Sanders family. Come to New York. Imagine being the first black quarterback to change a franchise in New York City for the New York Giants.
Right.
Being your last name being Sanders. You could be throwing key to the city, the deals, the merchandise, the ticket sales. There ain't a place that you wouldn't be able to go in New York where people wouldn't know who you were. That is who you need to be selling.
And this
John
is
Mara.
And this is how you get this reaction out of Shador Sanders. If you did that.
New York Giants bench Daniel Jones after being 2-8.
Honestly, I feel like they just gotta take a second to, regroup. Just hopefully get someone good at the draft.
What you doing that for, though?
He wants it,
you
bro.
doing that, boy?
I mean,
That's how you get that reaction.
He
But the
wants it.
scenario is if Dabo and Shane are still here, there's no fucking way. But go ahead, NYG. Go ahead.
Yeah, nah, man. Pretty much some of the same points. Is just the fact that we all talking about the New York needs star power. We need stars, we need juice, we need swag, we need energy. Who else to bring that than Deion fucking Sanders and Shador Sanders? If Deion is gonna be there too, but he won't be there. It's gonna be Shador. You know what I mean? He is going to bring that type of energy, that type of swag, that's that type of star power that this franchise is starving for, apparently. Hearing everybody on the chat. I listen. I talk too, but I listen. Everybody wants the same thing. We want a big-time player, a big-time star, a big-time quarterback. That's the guy on the fucking screen right there. And Deion Sanders is not going to get in the way of that. You know why? Because he once was best for his son at the end of the day. So if his son says, Dad, I want to play for New York, I can make this work. I'm good enough. I don't care who the coach is. And Deion said this in the interview. He said Shedeur can handle anything. He didn't play with bad coaches, bad offensive lines, bad this, bad that. He said his son can handle anything. I know he can handle New York. I know he can handle New York. And the fact of the matter is, this is what the Giants really need, to be honest with you. The Giants need this.
Can I say something?
The Giants need Shedeur Sanders. Sanders don't need the Giants. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. And you think Shedeur is ready
if he wants to,
if he wants to, but you think Shedeur Sanders will want to come to, is this not a shot at Rob Zero? But what Rob Zero says about these quarterbacks here, they're bums, they're this, that. He goes out there and throws 3 interceptions, and now they're clowning him because he's Deion Sanders' son and all that. You think Deion wants that for his son?
He can handle that though, Pat. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He's not Daniel Jones. He can handle that type of adversity. That's what we're talking about.
That?
Yeah, I would say this. Like,
hold on,
look, bro.
Has Shedeur ever endured anything like that? Being hated on.
Has he endured losing? Yeah,
he endured losing at Colorado, but has he endured losing in New York? There's a difference. Colorado's already used to losing like that.
But here's the thing, though.
You're saying he can't endure it. He can. Because he's already endured losing. He's already endured bad offensive line play. You know? So we're just talking about New York. Who better to teach him how to handle the bright lights than his father? Go ahead.
Look, I think the thing with this situation, right, is a lot of people in the fan base said, we need dogs. So we get Neighbors. And Neighbors makes a couple of comments that, you know, I think it was when he was injured, right? Makes a couple of comments. I think I was open, right? You can go check the thing. I was open. We see him last week. You heard Rich Eisen on his podcast, today, that him and Kurt Warner were keeping tally of every time these wide receivers were open, and Daniel Jones.
About that.
Daniel Jones wasn't hitting these open guys, right? People didn't like that Neighbors was opening up his mouth. But when you want a dog mentality, you're going to get dog retaliation. Now, the thing with Sanders is going to have no problem calling shit out when it needs to be called out. He's going to demand excellence from his teammates. He's going to go out there and he's going to perform. But at the same point, if he's unhappy with certain things, he may make it known, right? And I'm sure as hell not going to be opposed to that because we need that. We need that. So look, I believe that Shedeur has the ability to have an impact the way that CJ Stroud had an impact in Houston with his mannerisms. I think you're seeing it now with Jaden Daniels in Washington, right? I think he's got that star capability. I think that they need to make sure that they put the right people around him to get the best out of him. I know I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody was saying that there's reports coming out where the offense doesn't look as good in Houston, and some people aren't, they're kind of blaming Bobby Slowick a little bit for the lack of offensive production, but they've had a lot of people hurt. But if that's not true, Bobby Slowick's a great guy that I think would do great with Shedeur. Shedeur can use his legs. Look at what he's using with CJ Stroud right now. CJ Stroud can use his legs to get a first down if he needs to, but he uses his legs to buy time in the pocket, maneuver in the pocket, reset the pocket, set his feet, find guy. That's exactly what Shedeur Sanders can do, is reset the pocket, find guys open down the field, making plays with his arm. I think Bobby Slowick would be good. Right, I think Ben Johnson would be good. He's got that right now with look at Jared Goff right now. Jared Goff is playing at an elite level right now. and shit like that. Look at what that offense was. That offense was able to do something and win games, and Ben Johnson was able to do what he was able to do, coaching up plays, and his quarterback threw 5 interceptions. And he was still calling plays to get guys open. And we got weapons here. Wandale Robinson, weapon. Neighbors, weapon. Theo Johnson, I believe, can be a contributor in this offense. Darius Slayton, if he's here or if he's not, it's going to be up to these guys to get whoever is here to provide weapons around him. Tyrone Tracy, I would love, bro. Look at what they're doing right now. You want to get Tyrone Tracy, Ben Johnson. Look at what they're doing with the running game with David Montgomery and Gibbs,
We got
Jahmyr
a
Gibbs.
version of that here, Rob, with Tracy, and I do believe Turbo Miller will be hell in that system with Ben Johnson.
I mean, bro, look at what they're doing over there in the running game, bro. Look at what they're doing. That would be perfect here.
O-line, brother.
So, hey, but look, here's the thing. O-line didn't look bad with Luminor at left tackle and fucking Neal at right tackle. It did not look bad. At the end of the day, it's up to your coaches to evaluate your players, coach your players, and put your guys out on the football field.
New York Giants bench Daniel.
So, I mean, that's just the way that it is, man. That's just what it is. And right now, you got a GM that can't evaluate talent. You got a coach that is basically selling, like from fucking The Wolf of Wall Street. He's fucking Leonardo DiCaprio selling fucking radar detectors out of a fucking shed in the backyard, trying to sell it to these guys, and they ain't buying. They ain't buying. So,
go ahead, man.
Rob, can I just say this? I believe Shador would want to be a Giant. I'll tell you why. You think Shador doesn't know that Joe Shane's been in almost every game now? Do you, and a big scouting crew? Do you think that this guy who just threw out there the Giants, why didn't he throw out the Titans, the Raiders, the Bears? Why he threw out the Giants? Because, they know. And if his father was dead opposed to it, he would have known that already.
Miz, I'll give you, how about this? I'll throw you a curveball. You ready? I think that Shador is more confident in Brandon Brown and has a better relationship with Brandon Brown than he does with Joe Shane.
I agree.
How about that?
I've been saying if you do change the GM, if they do, that's the guy they should promote.
I know he has a better relationship with Brandon Brown. That's a fact, because actually Brandon Brown actually went there and they talked, and I think if Shador Sanders is here, Dabo and Joe Shane are gone. I do believe that if Shador Sanders is here. If they're both still here, I don't think he's the quarterback. That's what I truly believe. And I just believe that. If Shador Sanders is a New York Giant, we have a new GM and a new head coach. I don't think there's no way in shape and form, no way in hell he lets Brian Dable get a hold of his son. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I don't see it, bro. But NYG, you got any more on this subject? Because it's almost midnight here, and I know it's damn near 1 o'clock where y'all at.
Mm-hmm.
That's only 11:30. It's only 11:35 where I'm at.
You already know, man. Y'all on the Midwest. But nah, man. I mean, we kind of summed it up. I just think that, to your point, I think there's a much better chance the Giants draft Shador if Dable and Shane are fired. But then again, I do think this kid is not afraid of New York. And I don't think Deion Sanders and them are afraid of New York.
Deion played for the Yankees.
Right. Dash made that point in the chat. Salute. I forgot all about that. They're not afraid of this market, and they might not need New York. But again, the flip side is, where you go to the Raiders? What clout do they have? They are a mess too. Where you gonna go to Cleveland? Where you gonna go? What is the other option?
But real quick, if Shane, I think there's a better chance of Shane being here than Dable. If you want to sell it, right? And I don't want this. I want them both gone. if you're gonna keep Shane and you're gonna let Dable walk, give Shane an extension.
Yep.
Give him an extension and show that he's gonna be here, and let him go out there and hire Ben Johnson or another head coach and stuff like that. Show that type of commitment, because if
you got to show stability.
If you don't have it, they are going to be going into this thing with fucking, their seats are flaming fucking hot, and that is not going to be attractive. So you want to bring Shador in, John Mara? You like Joe Shane, even though there are some reports that Joe Shane in the building is very tough to work with, very hard to work with, not very approachable. Give him an extension. Prove that he's going to be here for the foreseeable future for the next 2 to 3 years. Prove that. Go out there, fire Dable, bring in somebody else.
Let me say this to you guys too, and this will be maybe this last subject of the night, because people gotta get to sleep. I will say this publicly, Rob Zero. This is the Rob Zero I remember before we started the beef on Twitter. The guy that you can talk to and have a literal conversation with without the insults or anything. And I'm not trying to be funny, but after the night, I want to wring your neck a little bit less than what I wanted to wring you before you came on tonight. Let's have civil conversations. Let's be men. There were no insults thrown tonight, and there was a damn good show, was it not?
Absolutely.
We could be men and talk to each other without the insults. All those other little guys in the chat, they still came in the chat and did the same thing, but you came on here and actually talked like a grown fucking man to another grown man. And that's what we do here with the Big Blue Crew. We talk as men. We could disagree and agree to disagree, but we ain't got to insult nobody. There was not one insult thrown towards you. There was not one insult thrown towards me. We had a damn good time. That's what's up.
Get Shador off the screen, please. He's being smiling too hard.
What?
Oh, you mean that?
But here's the
like
last
that movie.
question.
I just watched that joint too. Smile. Y'all see?
Hey, you better get used to him. You better get used to him being on the screen. You better get used to it. If
Dabo is fired, he's the guy. I know that for a fact. If Dabo is fired. If he's not fired, I don't know. But this is the last question. As far as Ben Johnson as a head coach, here is my assessment of it. I don't want to do it simply because I think he's going to be in the same role as Dabo did. Not saying that he's a bad play caller or anything like that. I think he's a great play caller. But I think this organization needs a CEO head coach. Shout out to NYG. We need a coach that coaches and makes his coordinators call the plays while he oversees everything. And I know for a fact if that man comes here, he's going to be the head coach and the offensive coordinator. And I know that we need a coach that is going to go with the players to their faces the whole time, not worrying, looking at a play sheet to call something. But we need somebody that's holding people accountable 24/7. And I know for a fact that will not be the role of Ben Johnson. Am I saying his name right? Ben Johnson? I think that's his name.
Well, look, if that's your
not
opinion,
the role that he will play here with the New York Giants. And that's why I'm against it. I wouldn't be totally mad and be like, oh my God, you're so stupid, because I know what he brings. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think at this point in time with this team, with these young men that need leadership, and it's coming from a Brian Dabo, and I don't care what nobody say. That dude throws everybody under the bus. He does. I don't care what nobody says. He starts beefs for no reason with players. Players feel inept. Players don't know what's going on. Look at Drew Lock today. And Drew Lock sucks, but he did deserve to go in there. Yeah.
Wait a second. Sorry. Big Mike who? Tomlin?
No. You talking about Mike McCarthy? Hell no. I don't want him.
Hell no.
Yeah, that's a Cowboy fan, man.
But
hell no.
But look, here's the thing though with Ben Johnson, right? I understand you'll worry about it. There are some coaches that are great coordinators that don't make good head coaches, and there are some bad coordinators that make great head coaches, right? Like John Harbaugh was a special teams guy, special teams coordinator. You know, Sean McVay was an offensive mind. It was I don't even think he was an offensive play caller. I think he was a quarterbacks coach or something like that in Washington, and then got the head coaching job. And he calls plays, and he's the head coach, right? There are a lot of coaches that do that and have success. I'm not saying Ben Johnson is going to be Sean McVay, but here's the thing. If Ben Johnson is going to get the head coaching job, and from the get-go, which he already stated on an interview just a few weeks ago when he was, when they were talking to him, if he makes it known from the jump that he's calling plays, cool. All right, I'm calling plays. That's done. It's over with. It's done with. But then you let Kafka do it, and then but I'm calling it. But I don't know. Like this whole thing, this whole thing this year, which I don't know. I'm gonna let bro. It's not like you got a rookie fucking quarterback and a veteran. And you're trying to decide who's gonna fucking start. Like it's very simple. Who's fucking calling the plays? So, but let's go with your concern. You're limiting yourself to 3 coaches. 3.
That's a fact.
Okay. Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Belichick.
Yep.
Pete Carroll.
Yep.
Those 3. Those are the 3 that you're limiting. Now, maybe there's somebody else that's in the, that I'm not thinking of, but those are the 3.
Kevin
Pete still wants to coach
from the Browns if he gets fired.
I don't want for that fucking guy. Fuck him.
Me either.
I don't want that fucking guy.
I don't want any recently fired.
But if you're looking
at
for
least
guys,
take a year off.
Yeah, if you're looking for guys that are going to come in and motivate your team, have control, and do delegating, Vrabel's going to do that. Bill's going to do that. And Pete Carroll is going to do that. And me personally, I wouldn't mind Vrabel. We talked about that before. Wouldn't mind him. Wouldn't be my first selection, but I wouldn't be opposed to him. Belichick, don't want him. Pete Carroll, again, if he was younger, yes, but he's like 74 years old. I think he can build a hell of a fucking program, get really good coaches involved, and really buy in. He does a great job building a team, getting guys to buy in. But, for me, I think if you're going to go anywhere, you need to change the mindset and the culture of this team. And Ben Johnson is a guy that I would like. Again, shout out to my man Basie. He brings up his name all the time. People talk about him. Aaron Glenn. We need to start going after the McVay tree. That's what we need. Like those teams, the Chiefs. Shit, somebody was joking around. I think it was Charlie from Maine. Joking around. Go and get Spags. Make Spags the head coach. I don't think that's going to happen. He's not going to leave the Chiefs. But they need to start going into and dipping in to the franchises that are having the success, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Lions. Those organizations are having the success year in and year out right now. Look at what the Lions have built. Look at what they have built. When those guys got there, that team was a fucking, excuse my language, a shit show. An absolute shit show. They questioned them taking Jahmyr Gibbs. They questioned them taking Jack Campbell a couple of years ago. Those guys are impactful players. That team will beat the shit out of you, and you will be black and blue, and you're losing the following week. That's the mentality.
Because their head coach is a former New York fucking Giant.
And he's a CEO head coach, Rob. He's a leader of men.
And that's the thing is I like the players. I like player coaches. Dan Campbell, he was a player. He knows how to relate
Antonio
to players.
Pierce.
He knows how to
Vrabel.
AP. I think AP is getting a bad beat. AP is getting a bad rap at with the Raiders. But again, not every former player should be a head coach. Just because you were a former player doesn't mean you're fit to be a head coach. But I think Vrabel and I think Dan Campbell have similar mannerisms as far as how they get guys, the team to buy in, how the leadership capability, all of that stuff. That's something that I believe that they share. So, last thing I'll say is, look, with the Bill situation, Miz, I know that you want it. I'm not big on it. but that is a real possibility.
Well, I'm good with Vrabel. I'm good with Vrabel.
And if that happens, it's because John Mara panicked. And the thing is, with Bill, if he
Adam
does come
said he's
here,
backstage.
what you could expect with Bill, the defense is going to be top 5. I would be excited to see him use Dexter and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and stuff like that. That I would be excited for. But his minions are going to come with him. Josh McDaniels and Patricia and all of these guys and whatnot. And who knows what they're going to do. And I don't want that. So for me, Vrabel, if you're looking for experience, but if you want to go with young-minded coaches, Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, I would prefer somebody from the Lions organization because what Dan Campbell has done there, they've turned that organization around. And those guys have been a part of it, and that's what I'd like.
Go ahead, NYG. What's going on?
Yeah,
Agent Adam. Go ahead, NYG.
Nah, the thing about it is you need somebody that's gonna, one, change the culture, and two, know how to build this team up. This team morale, man. This team needs energy, man. It needs juice. You know, it needs somebody that can get the most out of this team. You know, I watch a lot of Giants games, man, and you see they get down a couple scores, you see the quit. You start to see that quit mentality. You know, you need a coach that's going to be in tune primarily with the players. Now, I'm not going to give you too much pushback on Ben Johnson. I see what he's doing with the Lions. That's one thing to be said. It's also one thing to be said that, you know, you want a young quarterback to come in with somebody that's real good at calling plays that can set him up for a sort of instant success, what the Giants will be looking for. So those are two good points. But from an overall team standpoint, the Giants just need somebody that has more of that CEO mindset, you know, that's not going to ignore one side of it. But see, a lot of what Brian Dable does is he's so dug into his playbook, whatever's on it, he's not even worried about the defense like that. You know, it's like a disconnect with him and the defensive coordinator. It's going back since Wink. You know, I don't want coaches like that. I want a coach to oversee all 3 phases of the game, including special teams. Why is our special team so bad all the time? You see what I'm saying? The coach needs to be paying attention to that shit. You know, so, and then there's another thing for somebody who hasn't done it. Now you have somebody learning on the job. You know, you have somebody, you know, finding their footing when it comes to being a head coach. You know, I want a CEO head coach. Go get you a coordinator. Find a good coordinator. Let him coordinate. Find you a defensive coordinator. Let him coordinate. Same thing with special teams. You pay attention to all 3. Don't be dug in with your offensive playbook or dug in with your defensive playbook. That's not going to work with the New York Giants. We've tried it already. You know, so again, to wrap it up, pause. My first choice is Vrabel. I threw Dion out there for shits and giggles. I know that's not going to happen, but my first choice is Mike Vrabel. I would not be mad at Ben Johnson, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be mad at anybody. I'll be annoyed by Belichick. I'm going to be honest with you, because that's just going back to the same shit you've been doing.
Man, I think it's going to be a clown show.
But here's the thing, the shit that you're looking for, though, NYG, that's something he's going to do. I will say this. There is probably no other coach that prepares for all 3 phases of the game better than Bill Belichick. He has his hands in everything.
What was that?
It's Belichick. It's Belichick.
Oh, okay, I was just wondering.
But the thing is I don't want.
Yeah, I forgot.
I said this before, or like earlier, like this is months ago. If Belichick was just coming here to coach, I'd take him just to be the coach. I don't want him having control. And it sounds like he's going to want control and he's going to have everything. And I can see if Joe Shane is here, Joe Shane is going to get the Howie Roseman treatment. He'll be stuck in an office and he'll be having a clipboard next to Bill Belichick, and Bill will tell him, I want this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, this is what you're going to do, and he's going to like kind of teach him. I don't need you to teach. I don't need you to teach my GM to do his job. My GM should know how to do his job already. You know what I mean? So if he was just going to be a coach, I wouldn't mind Bill. But if he's going to have his hands in everything, I don't want
Rob, we trying to build long-term success here, right? You know what I'm saying? How long is Bill Belichick really going to be here? He's probably just trying to see what I'm saying. That's it, bro. He's out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? And you going back through the same cycle.
Builder.
That's not true.
From the ground up.
Yeah, I don't.
Yo,
I
great
actually
show, guys, but I'm
wouldn't
actually gonna head
mind-
out. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Much love.
Let it
All right, Zion.
I actually
peace,
wouldn't
bro.
mind what you just said, Rob. If he came here for 3 years and helped fix the organization and teach Joe Shane in the process to be a good
Well, who we
GM,
bringing in with him?
and finally retire after he gets his record, then he actually helped the Giants before he goes.
I mean,
Who you
I
bringing
can
in
see
with
it that way too. But shout out to the 2 new people that came on again for a couple more minutes. I'm getting tired. Appreciate everybody that's came in here.
Salute
Like I
K,
said,
salute Adam.
appreciate the grown man talk.
Hello,
tonight.
fellas.
I definitely appreciate that. But Adam, say what you got to say, brother, and then we're gonna get the nerd cage, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Listen, Bill Belichick doesn't come here because he's too fucking old. Okay, if you're gonna have Bill Belichick come in here, you have to have a succession plan because he's old. He's not gonna sit here and be here long term. Vrabel, while I like him too, is a guy who can be here long term. He could be your Tom Coughlin. Remember, Coughlin came in at 56, lasted until 65. Right? If you have winning seasons as we want to have and want to build, I don't need him here in 3 years and then give me Josh McDaniels because that's his guy. If you want me to believe in something, give me a Vrabel who's already young, who's already built a Tennessee team that was in disarray, and he built that team up. Okay, they were number 1 in the AFC conference, the hardest conference in the fucking NFL. The reason they lost is because Ryan Tannehill is garbage. That's why they lost. Not because of his defense, not because of his coaching moves, his dog shit fucking quarterback
3
play. Now, did he
turnovers
have
in
his problems
that
with the
Bengals game.
owners?
That pissed me off.
What'd you say?
I said them 3 turnovers Tannehill did in that Bengals game pissed me off. They should have won. The Tannehill threw those 3 interceptions.
Absolutely. But the point is if you're looking for a guy who's done it before, that's the guy I want. Because I don't need Bill Belichick to try to come in here and be 1986 all over again, show you my rings and try to put your dick on the table and all that shit. No, I don't need that crap. What I need is a guy who's been here, who's going to be here, and who's going to build something that he already knows how. They respected him over in Tennessee. Okay. He's not necessarily, I wouldn't say he's a player's coach per se, but the players respected him. Okay. They gave a shit. And that's what we need is a guy who's going to lead them and go out there. There's other guys out there. I mean, I don't want Jim Schwartz, but he's another guy with head coaching experience. I think the Giants, if they fire Brian Dable, which they should, because he's crap, they're going to go with a guy with head coaching experience. If they cut both Shane and Dable, they're definitely going to go with a guy with head coaching experience because they're not going to want to do 2 guys who are green behind the ears because then you're going to have the same problems you hear now. You need one guy like Vrabel who can command the team while the new GM is getting his footing, right? That's how it should work. Bill Belichick's never had that. He's never had that control. He's always been the guy. And quite frankly, his Patriots teams haven't done much the last few years. So I can't really trust him on building a team. No Tom Brady's walking through this door.
I can't trust him picking a quarterback, Adam. I can't trust him picking a quarterback at all. That's a fact. He comes here, we might have freaking that quarterback from freaking Georgia here.
He comes here, he's going to he's going to pick the defensive player.
I'm telling you, the quarterback would.
He'll take Will Johnson from Michigan.
Yeah, crazy.
Who's
Nerd
that?
Cage?
Who comes here?
Sorry about the cursing. That's just who I am. Can't help it. Sorry.
Belichick.
You
If
know who
Belichick
you
comes here,
are,
he's going to
Adam.
take a defensive player.
Good grief. But I don't want that quarterback from Georgia here at all. If you hate it,
Carson Beck, you mean
Jones,
Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, if you bring Carson Beck here, you thought Daniel Jones was bad. Go ahead. But
No, I have a 2nd round quarterback I'm in love with, and that's the Ole Miss QB.
Jackson Dart. I think he gets in the 1st round. I truly believe that kid gets in the first. He's talented. It's just New York's just a different place, and we need some different blood here.
Don't play
I
games with it.
I think Nuss.
I love Nuss too, man. I think that's the guy that if he comes out, the Giants, if they don't get Shador, that's the guy they're going to circle.
Yeah, I think, and I truly
think if Dable him is here, that's who they pick. Nussmeier.
I think if Milroe's here and they got smart enough people to build a system around Milroe, I think you will see something very exciting here. But you have to have a system to build around that kid, and I don't trust Dable to do that shit at all.
Well,
I can see their three quarterbacks that they target being Shador, Milroe, and then Nussmeier. I could see those.
I think it's going to be Shador, Ward, Nussmeier.
Yeah, if they can't
Milroe
get Shador, I think they go Cam Ward. But let's let Nerd Cage get in there, and then Lou. I know we got to go to sleep.
No, Nerd Cage hates Shador. He hates Shador. He can't go. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you one thing.
Thank you for having me. Got to go.
Right off the board, ain't coming. Each year, each 100 each right now. Shador will not come to New York. It's not happening for all the reasons Pat said. That being said, I don't want to tank. I'm from Syracuse. I hope Tommy DeVito wins the fuck out, and he's our future.
Oh man, they for to kill you, brother. They for to kill you, Nerd Cage. Go ahead, Lou.
I want to fucking win. I don't know why it took him this fucking long for them to switch to Tommy. He should have been there weeks ago. All right, now I agree. I want Brian Dable gone, and I do want Bill here. He's fucking a 24-year-old. He's motivated. He wants to prove to the world that it was Tom Brady. He wants to prove to the world that it was not Tom Brady. Give him that chance. Some other names come at me. Mike McCarthy. Before y'all come at me, he won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, and it's not his fault that Jerry Jones is a fuckhead and Dak Prescott went.
Bill Belichick and Mike McCarthy.
Nerd Cage.
I would coach with head coach.
I thought I had unpopular opinions. Shit.
I want a side of chicken parm.
He making you look like you work for ESPN right now.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna be honest though. To defend Nerd for a second. Like me and Adam were talking about him. I think McCarthy is in the dark, a sneaky like coach that's on the table.
Yeah.
Bro, this is Rex Ryan type takes right here.
Antonio Pierce could get fired by the Raiders. He could come here. I'd welcome him with open arms.
Oh my God! Just bring everybody.
You know what? How about JP Pierre-Paul? How about you retire? We'll hire you as a coach. How about that?
I think Sean O'Hara's out there. We might get him.
Hold on. Let Nerd finish.
I heard Chris Snee is in line for a promotion.
Let him finish his take.
Or Antonio Pierce. We can get Coughlin back here in some kind of person.
Oh my God, man! What are you, Fantasyland?
I'm telling you, you want Shakur. I'd rather have Shakur, but
the nightmare's still going.
Fingers crossed, Tommy wins out.
His name's not Shakur, it's Shador.
Man. Hey, listen, Nerd Cage. If Tommy DeVito wins more than one game, you better put him on watch. I promise you.
Shakur.
Anyway,
that was good, Nerd. That was good.
I'm rooting hard for Tommy to win. Again, I'm a Syracuse guy. I want him to win. He should have been.
Nerd Cage. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something real quick. Were you in line to get some free cutlets at that pizzeria? Were you in line? Were you waiting? Were you waiting?
Did you get your chicken parm signed?
Were you waiting them 2 hours in line to get your free cutlets?
No. Hey, that's all right. I mean, cutlets are good, but I met Tommy a few years ago. So hey, Tommy, if you're watching, please don't take it personal. I refuse to shake your hand. You're shaking everybody's hand. That's why I didn't shake your hand. So don't take that personal. I'm rooting for you. I really hope we beat Tampa Bay. I really hope we beat Dallas on Thanksgiving. They keep them winless at home. That'll be fucking tits. That'll make my league. So, like I said, I'm rooting hard for. I'm not rooting the tank, but I'm rooting hard.
I'm trying to think which is shining brighter.
So-
Your optimism or the top of Miz's head when he leaned his head forward. I'm trying to think of which shining brighter right now. Because I mean, be honest.
I'm gonna be real.
Miz, you know what, man? He might be when you put your head down. He's that's when it all started. He might be thinking you're like the North. He might be thinking you're the North Star or something like that or whatever. I don't know what's going on.
Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead, Lou.
Easy on the turtle wax.
Right.
I was about to say when y'all finish, I'm ready to go. I'm tired. I got to work in the morning and take my son to school.
Hey, Nerd Cage, I don't know if you ever gonna start that retro gaming channel, but when you do, let me know. I got some work for you.
Hey, we're gonna be live tomorrow talking to one of the creators of Donkey Kong Country. If everybody wants to stop by tomorrow at 3:00, what you guys are doing at the Big Blue Crew, keep it up. I love it. It's just nice to have this big, awesome variety show with all these different content makers, all these different sports. You guys are doing wonderful. I'm rooting hard for you guys. I want to see y'all win. So, again, let's go Giants. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Rangers. Let's do this thing. Thank you. Good night. God bless. Eat pussy, lift weights. Good night.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
I can fuck with that last one. Right? That's the best thing you fucking said since you started.
He started off bad, but he ended it
down with a bang.
These shows literally for the gulag. But go ahead, Lou. Any final words before we get out of here, man?
Give me the big screen real quick. Listen, man, y'all know where to find us. Big Blue Crew Sports Network, man. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms. You heard Big Blue Crew Sports Network. That's crew with a K, not to be confused with BBC. You nasty perverts. Keep your mind out the gutter, okay? Listen, man, we got your football, baseball, basketball, boxing, UFC, WNBA, bare knuckle fight championships, slap competitions, everything associated with sports and affiliated with combat. We got you. You heard? Make sure you subscribe. Tune in 7 days a week. We always have something going on. We always got something live. We always got shows. We always got shorts. We got all of your sports needs and concerns locked down, man. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. Leave your comments, thoughts, opinions, and ideas in the comment section. We'll always get back to you. And until next time, man, y'all know what it is. You heard?
Yeah. Peace. And I still got to do it, man. Nerd Cage. Welcome to the gulag, Nerd Cage, but we appreciate that last comment, sir.
Looks like we got another one! On the ground! This is the gulag. In here, you fight to win back your life. Gates!
This has been a Big Blue Crew Sports Network production.